So hey guy, so I will begin with new series. The series name is What If Naruto Teleported in Guardian of Galaxy. So, not wasting any more time, let's start the video. Naruto and Will were both working in the restaurant they owned, which was called the Rising Tide. It was a quite popular place in New York, based near Harlem. They served many different kinds of dishes, with them being open every day, except on holidays, from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. It also helped that they used disguised shadow clones to help with the work, which is why they never hired anyone, as they didn't want anyone to freak out and let the government know about them. They'd seen on the news what the government thought about those with powers that they wanted to control after seeing the military fighting against the Hulk. Naruto could tell that the Hulk only ever attacked if provoked, and that he did what he could to try and keep to himself. They also found that Tony Stark aka Iron Man was quite egotistical, as they had seen how he announced himself as a hero on the news to the whole world, which they found to be pretty stupid, as now all crooks and criminals could attack him, and those close to him. As Naruto was wiping down some tables, and Will was behind the counter, they heard the bell ring as the door opened, making them look and see who'd entered. They both saw a woman that had flaming red hair, while wearing casual clothes which consisted of long blue pants with brown boots, a white t-shirt and a black jacket. She walked over to one of the tables and sat down. Before she looked over the menu at the table, Naruto could immediately tell that there was more to this woman than meets the eye. So it looks like one of the agencies noticed us suddenly appearing in the system, and sent one of their spies to gather info about us, Naruto thought. After they'd appeared in this world about 3 years ago, when they were 17, Naruto had asked Will to set them up with identities and everything by getting into the system so that they could live normal lives, or as normal as can be for them. After they'd gotten some money, thanks to Will talking to some bank's tech and convincing it to give them money from some obvious criminal named Fisk, at least according to the bank machine, they'd bought a rundown building which they'd turned into their restaurant with a nice apartment above it. They'd also stopped several crimes, with Will turning any nearby cameras off in the area so that no one noticed it was them, and with them being ninjas, no one was able to take any pictures of them, as they were too fast and they stuck to the shadows. Naruto walked up to the lady and took his notepad out before saying, "Hello there, miss, what can I get for you today?" She looked the menu over one last time, before saying, "I'll have a latte coffee and a cheeseburger with fries, please." Naruto gave a nod, as he jotted it down on his notepad, saying, "Coming right up," before he turned around and headed off to the kitchen, as he thought, "Looks like she's got a gun hidden in her left boot, and another on her lower back." "What's the hot redhead want?" Will asked him. "She says a cheeseburger with fries and a latte. Also, you find her hot?" Naruto asked her with a raised eyebrow. "Are you kidding? Looking at her makes me consider being bi," Will said with a smile. "Oh, stop and go get the food," Naruto said with a shake of his head. "No problem. Now go ask Miss Spy what she really wants," Will said as she went to go cook. "That obvious to you too, huh?" Naruto asked with a smile at the fact that Will had the woman pegged too. Will scoffed. "Please, she's way too obvious. But that may be because of our experience," she said. "True," Naruto said, nodding as he went over to the red-headed woman. She looked at him, as Naruto said, "Your burger and fries are being cooked now and your coffee will be bought out later." She gave a nod, as Naruto sat down and asked her, "So what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I work in negotiation with foreign diplomats," she told him. She then held out her hand, saying, "I'm Katie, by the way." Naruto took her hand and gave it a shake as he said the names. "Naruto and Katie, you look more like a Natasha to me," he added with a smirk. She had a look of brief shock appear on her face, before she quickly made it disappear as she said, "I don't know what you're talking about. My name's Katie Blecker, and I would like to maybe get to know you better," as she gave him a charming smile. On the outside she was playing it cool, but inside she was worried as she thought, how'd he know what my real name was? Does he have some kind of mental abilities, and that's how he found out my name? Naruto just gave her a look of unamusement, before saying, "Nice try, lady, but it's not going to work. So you can go back to your boss and let him know that the hot redhead was a nice try, but I'm not as easy as they think." Will then came out with the cheeseburger and fries, while her coffee was also bought over in a takeaway cup. "Your order, miss," Will told her, as she placed it on the table between Naruto and the redhead. Naruto then stood up, as he and Will went to the kitchen to clean the cooking utensils. As she watched them walk off, Katie pulled her phone out before dialing a number on it. As it rang, she helped herself to some fries which she found quite tasty. After a few more rings and a few fries along with some of her burger, she heard the line being picked up before a male voice gruffly said, "Yes, what is it?" "It's me, sir," was the reply from the redhead, as she drank some of her coffee. "We have a bit of a problem." "What kind of a problem, Agent Romanoff?" she heard from her boss, and even though she couldn't see it, she was sure he was giving off a glare with his one good eye. She bit into her burger, and ate some of it before replying with, "I'm not sure how, but the one called Naruto was able to figure out my real name. So either one of them has mental powers of some kind, or is a tech was expert capable of hacking into anything electrical." That is troubling indeed, was the reply from her boss before he continued, "How'd you escape from them, Natasha?" "Well, you see, that's the thing," Nick, the now named Natasha, said, before eating some more fries, then continued, "They just called me out, and Naruto told me to tell you, and I quote, let 'em know that the hot redhead was a nice try, but I'm not as easy as they think," end quote. She could then hear some grumbling from the other end of the phone, before Nick said, "Okay, looks like we'll have to try a different approach with these two. Report back to base, and I want a full report on my desk ASAP." "Roger that, boss." Nat out, she said before hanging up. She wasn't used to people being so friendly when they're being watched, and when they call her out spying on them, and she knew that Nick was thinking the same thing. She then continued eating, before she finished her food, and then picked up her half-finished drink and left with it, drinking it as she went. With Naruto and Will in the kitchen, they were having their own conversation about their customer that just left. "Who do you think she worked for, Naruto?" Will asked him. He shook his head, as he answered, "I've no idea, but I think we'll have to be careful now, especially if an agency of some kind is taking an interest in us." Will nodded her head in agreement, before they went back to cleaning up the restaurant, since it was a slow day, and they didn't have many customers in the restaurant today. Naruto also heard his tenant adding, "I agree that you should be wary around that redhead brat, 'cause I've got the feeling that she's going to be coming around here a fair lot, trying to find out info she can about you and your redhead mate." Naruto just rolled his eyes at that, as he got back to work. Sometime later, after closing, Naruto and Will had just had something to eat and closed up the restaurant, and had decided to go for a walk. They passed the dojo called the Chikara Dojo, run by their new friend Colleen Wing. They'd met her sometime after the restaurant was built, and after talking with her a few times, the three of them had become great friends. It was some time after they became friends that Naruto could tell that she was hiding something from them. After they talked to her, and encouraged her to not hide anything from her friends, they were eventually able to coax it out of her. They found out that she works for a secret organization, called The Hand, and that they have a grip on the criminal underworld. They also found out the group had an influence on everything, from wars to crime, and even influence on powerful people. Naruto and Will had gone out at times to try and find this group. Along with stopping them, they weren't able to find any of the group's leaders, and any of those that worked in the group they could find and fight either killed themselves with cyanide in a false tooth, or were killed by a sniper if the false tooth was ever removed. As Naruto and Will were walking along, they noticed a woman in front walking towards them. Naruto was also able to notice that the woman was walking along like she was drunk or something. "Excuse me, are you feeling all right?" Naruto asked her in concern. Will also noticed the woman, and how she was walking, or to be more precise, it looked like she was stumbling and wobbling all over the place. She was just a few feet from them when she fell forward in a faint. Naruto quickly rushed forward and grabbed her before she hit the pavement. Will rushed over and asked, "Is she okay?" Naruto shook his head, as he replied, "I don't know," as he turned her over on the ground to see if he could find anything wrong with her. As he did, the two of them saw that she had black hair, and they noticed that she had blood on her shirt. Will put her hand to her mouth and shook, as she slightly stuttered out, "Is that her blood?" Naruto was checking for any injuries, and finding none shook his head, saying, "She's not wounded anywhere. She must have gotten into a drunken fight or something with someone else, and that person's blood ended up on her shirt." He then scooped her up, as he added, "Come on, let's get her to the nearest hospital so that they can see what's up with her." Will nodded in agreement, as they headed back to the restaurant so they could drive her to a hospital. Sometime later, at the hospital, after they'd got back to the restaurant, they'd put her in Naruto's orange Ford Transit van before heading off to the nearest hospital that Naruto's satnav could find. While Naruto was driving, Will was in the back doing what she could to rouse the woman and find out what happened. The woman would only mumble at times, and toss her head this way and that. Will was able to hear sorry in the woman's mumblings, making her think she'd broken up with someone or something. It took them about half an hour to reach a hospital. Naruto had carried her in, with Will running on ahead to let the staff know they had a woman unconscious that needed help. After placing her on a gurney, they then had to fill in some paperwork that the receptionist had passed to them. After filling it all out, they decided to wait and see if they could get anything out of the strange woman. It was about 2 hours later when they saw a blonde-haired woman coming up to the receptionist's desk. "Hi, I'm Trish," the blonde woman said, with worry clearly in her voice. "I'm here because a black-haired woman came in, passed out with blood on her shirt." The receptionist asked her, "Are you related to the woman?" "Yes, I'm her stepsister," she replied as she nodded her head, "and the doctor said that I was to be called in case anything happened to her." The receptionist nodded, as she said, "Very well, ma'am, please take a seat, and I'll let the doctor know you're here." "Thanks," was the reply, as she went and sat down a few seats opposite Naruto and Will, as she hung her head with a sigh. "The woman that was brought in is your sister?" Will curiously asked. She picked her head up and looked in their direction as she replied, "Yeah, along with being my best friend." "Well, I guess you'll want to know that we're the ones that brought her in," Naruto said. She looked relieved at that, as she got up to sit directly opposite them as she said, "Thank you so much. I'm glad that it was someone like you, and not some creeps that did it." They shrugged their shoulders, as Naruto replied it was no problem. He then stuck his hand out, as he said, "I'm Naruto, by the way, and this here's Will," who gave her a slight wave. The blonde woman took his hand and shook it as she said, "I'm Trish," while she was thinking, "He looks quite handsome and cute." "No, Trish, don't think of that. And if my mother meets him, I'm sure she'll try and set me up with him," as she internally groaned, as her mother was constantly trying to set her up with whatever man she could find. It was a few minutes later, when the three of them noticed a doctor coming over who said, "Trish Walker?" She groaned, expecting these two she just met to want an autograph or a photo or something, but to her surprise, they didn't react to her name, which she put aside for later as she said, "Yeah, that's me." The doctor said, "I'm Dr. Yoshiko. Your sister's going to be fine. The blood on her shirt wasn't hers and she has no wounds of any kind. There was no sign of any drugs or alcohol in her system, thankfully." Trish gave a sigh of relief, as she then asked, "Can we see her?" The doctor gave a nod, as he replied yes, as she should be resting at the moment. "So you'll have to be quiet. If you'd please follow me," he added before turning around and walking off. The other three followed after him as he led them to the room Trish's stepsister was recovering in. As they got closer, they could hear two people talking. "Miss, would you please lay down and get some rest? You should be recuperating, not trying to walk about and leave," one of the nurses' voices was heard saying. "Look, lady, I'm fine, okay. Now I just want to leave and get back to my apartment," another voice was heard saying, which Trish immediately recognized. Will rolled her eyes as she said, "Oh great, a tomboy. Of all the things in the world, she had to be a tomboy." Trish laughed, as surprisingly no one had ever called Jessica that before. They finally reached the room, and the doctor opened the door with the four of them, seeing a nurse trying to stop the black-haired woman from trying to get dressed and to get back into the hospital bed. As this was happening, Trish finally asked when the doctor said my full name, "Didn't you guys know that I'm famous?" They both shook their heads, as Will said, "Nope, we have no idea that you were famous, and we only make friends with people who are themselves and not what others try and make them out to be." Trish was happy about that, as it meant that she could have proper friends that don't care that she's famous. The group of four entered, with the nurse turning to the doctor as she gave a sigh of relief as she said, "Oh doctor, thank God you're here. Miss Jones here is refusing to get back into bed, and is insisting that she's fine enough to leave." Jessica gave the nurse a glare, as she said, "Look, you stupid bitch, I feel fine. Now just let me out of here, so that I can get to my apartment." The doctor stepped forward with a frown on his face, saying, "I'll be the judge of whether or not you're fine, Miss Jones. And please, no swearing in the hospital, as there may be some children near this room, and I don't want angry parents coming here looking for where that foul language is coming from." Trish walked over, as she said, "Please Jess, just let them do their jobs and make sure that you're okay." She just sighed, before she went and sat on the bed to let the nurse and doctor look her over. She also finally noticed Naruto and Will, as she asked, "Who's the redhead and the whiskered blonde?" Trish replied, "With the redhead is Will, and the whiskered blonde is Naruto. They're the ones that found you and brought you to the hospital." Jessica gave them a nod, as she said, "Thanks, I guess." "No problem," Will said, as Naruto shrugged his shoulders. "Now, Miss Jones, can you tell us what's the last thing you remember?" the doctor asked her, while making sure her eyes were working well, before checking her heart rate and blood pressure. A look of concentration appeared on her face, as she gave it some thought as she replied, "I'm not entirely sure, Doc. I'm trying to remember the last thing I was doing, but it's coming up blank." The doctor hummed, as he said, "Looks like whatever happened, your mind's blocked it off to protect you. It may come back, or not at all." Naruto could tell that she was lying. Thanks to Sage Mode giving him his sensory abilities, he could tell that she'd been through hell, and that she was still hurt inside from the experience. After giving her a look over, the doctor said, "Well, Miss Jones, it looks like you're in picture-perfect health. As soon as you're signed out, you're able to head on back home." "Great, let's go, Trish," Jessica said as she grabbed Trish's hand before heading to the door. She stopped next to Naruto and Will, as she said, "Thanks again for helping me out," before the two of them went out the door to the reception desk, with Trish giving them a quick wave goodbye. Will ran over to catch up. "Wait here, if you need someone to talk to, you can come to our restaurant," she said, handing Trish and Jessica a business card each that had the restaurant's number, address and hours on it. Trish gave her a smile, saying, "Thanks, Will. We really appreciate it, right, Jess?" she added, as she looked at Jessica waiting for her response. Jessica gave a huff, before saying, "Yeah, whatever," before continuing to head for the reception desk. Trish gave Will an apologetic look and shrugged before following. Naruto soon caught up with Will, and said, "Come on, let's head back and get some sleep. We're gonna need it if tomorrow's going to be a busy day." Will gave a nod of agreement, as they left the hospital before climbing back into the van and heading back to the restaurant/apartment complex. Once back, Naruto parked the van and they climbed the outdoor stairs to the apartment, and unlocked the door. They soon undressed, and went to bed with Will saying night Naruto as she put her head on his shoulder, as she gave him a kiss on the cheek, with Naruto kissing her forehead as he replied, "Sweet dreams, Will," before they fell asleep. The next day, 6:30 a.m., after Naruto woke up, he saw that Will was still sleeping with a cute look on her face. He gave a small smile, and got out of bed while being careful not to disturb her. He then headed for the kitchen, and thought to make her some breakfast in bed. He decided on chocolate chip pancakes, with a bowl of strawberries to go with it. He turned the oven top on, and placed a pan with some light oil on the bottom, then got started with the pancakes, and placed all the proper ingredients into a bowl before mixing them all together. Once the ingredients were all mixed, and it was a smooth look, he poured 4 appropriate amounts onto the frying pan. After a few minutes on each side, the pancakes were ready. After scooping them out of the pan, he placed them on a plate, each with the strawberries on top. He placed the plates on a tray, with 2 glasses of orange juice before picking it up and carrying it to their room. He carefully opened the door, making sure that he didn't wake her up. He saw that she was still fast asleep, so he quietly tiptoed over to her side of the bed and placed the tray on the bedside table. He turned to her face, and seeing she was still asleep, gave a grin as he leaned down and kissed her on the lips, which she returned in her sleep, giving a moan as she did. After a few moments of kissing, Naruto pulled back to see Will looking at him with half-lidded eyes. He gave her a smile, as he said, "Morning, sweetie." She gave a small smile in return, before saying, "Mornin'." Need more kisses, as she reached to put her arms around his neck and pull him back in. Naruto grabbed her arms before she could, as he shook his head saying, "Sorry, babe, but we need to get up and get some work done." Will shook her head, as she told him don't wanna stay in bed and have kisses all day, as she gave him a cute pout. Naruto sighed dramatically, before he said, "Well, I guess that you don't want these chocolate chip pancakes with strawberries I made for you. Guess I'll have to have them for myself if you're not going to get up," as he stood up, before grabbing the tray, and looking like he was about to leave the room with it. Will sat herself up in the bed, before saying, "Gimme the pancakes, mister," as she reached her arms out for the tray. Naruto gave a chuckle, as he said, "As the lady wishes," before setting it on her lap. He then took his plate of pancakes off the tray, before sitting in the chair in the corner of the room. Will licked her lips, before helping herself to her breakfast. She gave a moan of satisfaction as she said, "Oh, now that's yummy food." Naruto gave a shake of his head, as he had some pancakes from his own plate. After she'd eaten, she then went to have a shower and clean her teeth. While Naruto took the tray with the dishes on to wash, he placed all the dirty dishes in the dishwasher, and after placing a powder tablet in and setting on the right time, he set it going. After Will was finished in the bathroom and dressed for the day, Naruto went to clean his teeth and shower before getting dressed himself. They both then went down the stairs to the restaurant, and got everything ready for when it was time to open. 10 a.m. Naruto and Will were relaxing for a bit at one of the tables, as their last few customers had just left when they heard the ringing of the bell. As the door opened, they looked over, and saw it was a group of about 6, with them all looking to be thugs. One of them turned the sign around showing the shop was closed and locked the door, while two of them sat down at a table each like they owned the place, while the other four walked over to Naruto and Will. They both stood up as soon as they saw them approaching, as they could tell that they were going to be trouble. "Can I help you gentlemen with anything?" Naruto asked as politely as he could. One of them gave a nod of his head, as he gave a creepy and greedy smile before he replied with, "Yeah, I think that you can. My name's Tom Skullet, and I work for Mr. Cottonmouth. You see, there's word of gangsters roaming these streets here and they love attacking any kind of store that they come across. So as the good citizens we are, we'll be offering protection to you and your store, just to be on the safe side." They both cocked an eyebrow, as they could easily tell these guys were lying as they could see the greed and a sense of entitlement in their eyes. Will cocked an eyebrow, as she asked, "And what's it going to cost us to have your protection?" Skullet gave her a pervy look, as he replied, "Nothing much, sweet cheeks, only about half your money. Every month should just about do it." Naruto shook his head, as he said, "Thanks, Mr. Skullet, but I'm afraid we'll take our chances with the thugs. Now please leave, so that we can serve any customers that might want to have something to eat here." The thugs just gave a shrug, as though not bothered by his decision before Skullet said, "I'm sure that you'll change your mind once these gangsters attack your workplace," as they turned around and headed back for the door, with Naruto and Will following after them. As they passed one of the two that was sitting down, he slapped Will's ass before saying, "Nice ass, sweetheart. Why not leave the blonde idiot, and spend some time with a real man?" As he looked at her with a perverse look, Will just turned around, and gave him a sweet-looking smile that Naruto knew was anything but, before she said, "Oh, and would that man be you?" The guy stood up, as he said that, "I am, sweetie," before he reached his arm out towards her. Will was still giving him the sweet smile, as she then grabbed his arm before breaking it. "H," the guy screamed in pain, as he cradled his broken arm before Will then grabbed him and threw him out the restaurant through one of the windows. "Anyone else feeling brave or stupid?" Naruto asked the other guys. "Please say yes, that was barely a workout," Will said, still with a sweet smile, with a dangerous undertone to it. "Fuck this," one guy said as he unlocked the door, and left like a bat out of hell. "Wait for me, bro!" The others yelled as they followed after him, while the guy with the broken arm gingerly stood up and hobbled after them, as his ankle was twisted from being thrown through the window. "Punk ass," Will said, rolling her eyes. "You are incorrigible," Naruto said with a smile as he shook his head at her antics. Suddenly some people came in. "Which one of you did that to that gang banger?" an old man asked them. Naruto pointed at Will, who smacked his shoulder for selling her out so quickly. "Why do you ask, sir?" Naruto asked, hoping he wasn't a relative of one of those guys. The old man and his friends laughed. "About time someone gave those punks what they deserved," one of them said. "You just earned some customers for life, young lady," one of the old men said as he sat down. "Yeah, I'm gonna tell my church about this. They will definitely want to eat here too," another of the old men said. "Looks like we won't need that ad in the paper thanks to you, sweetie," Naruto said with a smile. Will just rolled her eyes good-naturedly, before they took everyone's orders. A few weeks later, "Those punks are suing us?" Naruto asked, surprised as Will read a letter that just arrived. Will nodded her head, as she read out loud from the letter, "You are hereby ordered to appear before the court of New York City," Will said as she named the date and time, which was a week away, with the time being at 10:30 a.m. "Great! Now we need a lawyer," Naruto said, groaning, as he found this whole thing a sham. "We don't know any lawyers, but Trish or Jessica may know one," Will said as she pulled out a cell phone. Naruto nodded his head, as he said, "Yeah, good idea, you call Trish, and I'll call Jessica." Will nodded, as she dialed Jessica's number. It took a few rings, before she was able to get through. "Jessica, I swear if you are drunk again who are you calling a bitch?" Will yelled into the phone as Naruto took the phone from Will. "I'll handle this," Naruto said as he put the phone to his ear. "Jessica, we both know you are better than this. We care about you whether you like it or not, so either grow up and be an adult, or I'm gonna come down there and make you go into rehab." Naruto yelled, clearly angry that Jessica was doing this to herself. Will was surprised, as she didn't think Naruto could be that angry over something like this. All right, Whiskers, calm down, geez, what do you need?" Jessica asked him. "We are being sued by some gang members," was the reply. "Ha! I read about that in the paper and let Red know I approve of her methods, and that she has my respect," Jessica said good-heartedly. "Let me guess, you need a lawyer?" she then asked. "Yes, Jessica, you know anyone?" Naruto said, hoping that she did. "I know one, but she's a newbie. But trust me, she has talent. If it's as small as this, she will have the plaintiff wishing red finish them off, Jessica told him. You got a name? Naruto asked. Jennifer Walters. I'll send you the number right away. You guys get that ice cream I like in the restaurant yet? Jessica asked. Of course, see you soon, Jessica, Naruto said with a smile, before he hung up. You keep being sweet like that, and I may have to start making a list of girls to kill, Will said with a smile, showing she was only kidding. Yeah, now let's go make a witness list for next week, Naruto said as he wanted to help this Jennifer with any information she needed. A week later. You Jennifer Walters? Naruto asked, seeing a plain-looking woman in a suit waiting at the courthouse. The woman looked at Naruto and froze, before she dropped her briefcase. Damn it, she whispered to herself as she went to pick it up, but Naruto handed it to her with a smile. Why yes, I'm Jennifer Walters, the woman said. Don't worry, I have that kind of effect on all the girls, Naruto told her, as he tried to make her less nervous. Are you Naruto Uzumaki and Wilma Van Dam? Jennifer asked. I prefer Will, thanks, Will said. Sorry about that, Jennifer said, as she blushed in embarrassment. Don't worry, I'm sure you will do great. Our friend Jessica swore you were the best, Naruto said with a smile. Jennifer sighed. Jessica Jones, only women I know that could get banned from a bar in New York, she said, sighing. She did what now? Naruto said with a frown, not liking the sound of that. Never mind that, we have court to attend to, Mr. Uzumaki, Jennifer said with a look of steel as she led them into the courtroom. Geez, she looks and sounds like a professional lawyer now, Naruto thought. I like her, Will thought, as she may be shy, but she had nerves of steel if needed. A few hours later at the Rising Tide. I can't believe how much you got from counter-suing them, Will said, laughing as her, Naruto and Jennifer toasted to their success at the Rising Tide. Jennifer shrugged her shoulders, as she said it was easy thanks to the witnesses you guys got. Please, after it got out in the neighborhood that those punks were suing, we had a line of people going round the block ready to defend us, Naruto said as he took a drink. Yeah, they love us since I put that guy through a window, Will said, laughing. So, that guy wasn't lying, Jennifer said with a surprised look on her face. Hey, he had it coming, Will said, before she added I had a right to unleash my righteous feminine fury on him as she shook her fist. Jennifer shook her head, as she took a sip from her glass. As they were having a good time, what they didn't know was that a small amount of robots were outside, waiting for the right moment to strike. The robots were all the same, as they were all round-shaped with arms, a small cannon and one eye in the middle as they hovered in the air. One of them spoke into a combinator they were all programmed with. The target is inside the establishment. How do you wish to proceed? With the camera zooming in on the restaurant. Bring me the woman known as Jennifer Walters alive. You can kill off anyone else you find, if they resist, was the reply from their master. Understood. Commencing with capture of target as the robots flew towards the restaurant. They all flew through the windows, breaking the window panels as they went. What the? Jennifer said, finding this quite surprising. Naruto and Will weren't as shocked, as they each took a battle stance and waited to see what the robots wanted. The robots scanned Naruto and Will, before eventually scanning Jennifer as one of them said target has been located. Now moving to capture as they all moved towards Jennifer. Hey whoa, what do you want me for, you ugly bucket of bolts? Jennifer said, as she backed away hoping to avoid the robots grabbing her. Naruto and Will didn't want to reveal themselves as having powers, so they grabbed some chairs and threw them at the robots. One was destroyed, while another just got damaged. Resistance detected. Destroy all resistance before the robots opened fire, shooting lasers from the cannon in the middle. Whoa, watch where you're aiming those things, Jennifer said as she went and hid behind the counter. Naruto and Will did what they could to destroy some more, with them using their powers slightly and only a little bit as they didn't know if anyone was watching on the other end of the robots. Suddenly one of the robots fired a container of tear gas which filled the room, which caused them all to cough. Naruto and Will couldn't see that a robot grabbed Jennifer and flew off. Put me down, you pile of trash, Jennifer said, as she squirmed in its grip. Okay, I have had enough, Will said as her eyes lit up and she unleashed a wave of electricity which destroyed the robots still there. Damn, that robot got away, Naruto said as he looked outside. Then let's suit up and go after her, Will said, not happy that a new friend was kidnapped right in front of them. Thankfully I can follow Yen's aura, Naruto said as they went inside to get changed. With Jennifer. Where the heck are you taking me, you stupid piece of garbage? She questioned the robot carrying her, even though she knew she wasn't going to get an answer from it. It was a while before Jen saw the Latveria embassy coming into view. Oh, I don't like this one bit, she thought to herself. as a part of the roof opened up as the robot flew through it before the roof closed behind it. The robot then lowered itself to the floor, where it let go of Jennifer, who fell in a heap on the floor before it flew off. "Yeah, thanks for nothing," Jennifer said as she got up off the ground. "Miss Walters, did you enjoy the flight over?" She heard a voice saying. She looked around for who said that, before noticing someone sitting on a throne. "It was lousy, and I never got any peanuts on the flight over," she said as she tried not to show how afraid she was, by trying to look and sound tough. The figure gave a low humming. Before he leaned forward to show his face to Jennifer, she took an involuntary step back, as she was looking at Dr. Doom's metallic face. "You can drop the act, my dear," he said to her as he stood up. "I know that you're not as tough as you're trying to make yourself out to be." She placed her hands on her hips, as she said, "Well, seeing as I don't know why I'm here, or what's going on, I don't know what else to do." Yes, I should probably let you in on my plan," Doom said to her as he walked over to a large computer, before he pressed a few buttons. This made part of a wall slide away, revealing the alter ego of Jennifer's cousin Bruce, the Hulk behind an electric force field. Jennifer ran over, as she said, "Oh, cuz, what's he done to you?" She reached out to him, but before she touched the force field, Doom said, "I wouldn't do that, my dear. Otherwise you'll get quite the nasty shock if you do." She turned around to face Doom, as she demanded, "What do you want? What's your plan, metalhead?" "My plan is to have the Hulk do as I command," he explained to her. "And why would he obey you?" Jennifer asked him, as she crossed her arms. Suddenly Doom shot her in her side with a laser gun. "Because if he doesn't obey, then I let you die from blood loss, here and now," Doom said, as he put the gun away. The Hulk started roaring in rage, seeing his cousin in pain, who was holding her side while groaning in pain. "Relax, my green friend, I can save her. All you need to do is go attack the U.S. Embassy. You go right now and I will save her," Doom said to him. Hulk looked at Jennifer, then looked at Doom and nodded his head. "Good, now get going," Doom said, pushing a button that opened the rooftop, which allowed the Hulk to jump out as he headed off to the U.S. Embassy. "Now I'm a man of my word, my dear, so let's get you to the lab to be healed," Doom said, as he had some of his humanoid robots carry her. He pulled a vial of green blood from his pocket, as he thought, "Good thing I was able to grab a sample of the Hulk's blood, as with this I could create my very own army of Hulks." Meanwhile, Naruto and Will were heading in the direction Naruto sensed Jen's aura. Naruto was running and jumping on the rooftops, while Will was flying along next to him. They were almost where Naruto could sense she was, when they saw the Hulk jumping out of the building Naruto sensed she was in. "I don't know where he's off to, but I can definitely sense Jen's in that building the big guy just left," Naruto said to Will. Will said, "You go and see where he's going while I go and get Jen out of there." Naruto said, "You can't go alone. Who knows what kind of security this guy has?" Will then used her powers, and could sense that Doom had a crazy amount of security for the embassy. And even though she could talk to technology, talking to security tech was a bit iffy since they're always so suspicious about anyone and anything. She turned back to Naruto, as she nodded, saying, "Yeah, this guy's got some serious security and firepower. I think we're gonna need some help getting her out." "How about some help from us then?" they heard, before looking up as a guy on fire came down, while they saw 3 others were in a hovercraft of some kind as it flew down to the roof. The fire guy landed first, and the flames around him disappeared when he landed, revealing a blonde man. They noticed the other 3 getting out of their hovercraft that landed as being a blonde-haired woman, a man with brown hair and gray sides, and some kind of rock thing. The 4 of them were each wearing uniforms that were blue and a number 4 on them. "Who the heck are you guys?" Will asked. The blonde guy gave a small laugh, before saying, "Seriously, you don't know who we are? Have you been living under a rock?" "We are the Fantastic Four," before he took what he thought was a heroic stance. "Well, the space guys," Naruto said as he read about them. "That's it, just the space guys?" the blonde guy asked, clearly upset about what Naruto said. "I would be more impressed if you guys actually helped people that were more street level, instead of dealing with just the space problems," Naruto said, crossing his arms. "Well, if someone doesn't deal with the space stuff, then Earth might be hurt," the guy with black hair said. "He's got you there," Will said, looking at Naruto with a sidelong look. "Yeah, plus someone needs to clobber Doom," the Rockman said, as he smashed his fists together. "Wait, Dr. Doom?" Will asked, recognizing the name. "Why the hell would he kidnap our friend?" she said. "I believe it's because Miss Walters is the cousin of Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk," the blonde woman explained. "Great, so this asshole is manipulating the Hulk by holding his cousin hostage," Naruto said, with an unhappy look on his face. "Any ideas, Reed?" the Rock Man said, hoping that he had a few. I'm thinking we split up, Ben. We confront Doom while our friends go free, Miss Walters Reed said. Small problem. The Hulk went somewhere in that direction, Naruto said, as he pointed where the Hulk had jumped. The American Embassy. Okay, Johnny and Ben, you go slow down the Hulk. Try to tell him we are saving his cousin and need his help, the blonde woman said, looking at the blonde man and Ben. On it, Susie, Ben said with a nod. Leave it to us, sis, Johnny said, as he gave her a thumbs up before they went in the direction Hulk went, with Johnny lighting on fire saying flame on and flew off, while Ben jumped from rooftop to rooftop. Meanwhile, the rest of us confront Doom and rescue the Hulk's cousin after we get past the security, Reed said. On it, Will said, touching the door. Hey, open up or I'll drain you of your life force, Will said. / I like your attitude, miss. Plus that Doom guy is an ass. Go on in / a voice said from the door as it opened. Fascinating. How did you do that? Reed asked, looking at Will in interest as they entered a hallway. She can bring electronic devices to life, Naruto said with a smile, before adding it's magic based though, so good luck getting a better explanation than that. There is no such thing as magic, Reed said with certainty. It's merely science that we haven't found a way to understand yet. That's actually a good theory, Will said, as she never thought about her powers like that before, still calling it magic though, she said as they were approaching a door and she touched a security camera. / your green friend is in the door to the left / the same voice as before said. No complaints from me, Susan said, as not fighting security was a nice change of pace. Wait, green friend? Naruto asked in confusion. Earlier with Jennifer. Jennifer was laid out on a medical table, while strapped down and hooked up to an IV that had the Hulk's blood in it that was almost empty as it entered Jennifer. Suddenly a TV inside turned on showing Doom. Fascinating, you are completely healed, he said, surprised the Hulk's blood worked so well. Good, now let me go, you tin can, Jennifer said as she struggled against the straps. Soon enough I will free you, as I'm a man of my word, Miss Walters. Let's just hope your cousin doesn't fail being my attack dog against the U.S. Embassy, Doom said as he turned off the TV he was on. You leave my cousin alone, you piece of. Jennifer was yelling in anger but suddenly stopped as she felt something changing with her body. She lurched up, as green veins appeared on her arms and her eyes turned green. She started getting slightly bigger, along with gaining some muscles. Whoa, mama, I'm suddenly starting to feel good, she moaned out. Her hair got longer, along with turning green, as did her skin turning green. Oh, it feels like somebody really lit my fire. She then broke the straps, as though they were twigs, before standing up. Well, look at me, I'm smoking hot now, she said, looking into a mirror when suddenly a door opened and Naruto and Will entered. Jennifer? Naruto asked, shocked at what he was seeing. Hey fellas, what do you think of the new me? Jennifer said, as she struck a pose. Naruto was silent for a moment but suddenly shook his head so he could focus. I think he likes it, Jen, Will said with a smile at Naruto trying and failing at focusing. What did that quack do to you? Naruto asked, trying to focus on the task at hand. He shot me and threatened to let me die if my cousin disobeyed him, Jennifer said with a growl. And let me guess, he used your cousin's blood to heal you and this happened, Will said, gesturing at Jennifer's new body. Exactly, and now I'm gonna kick his sorry metal ass, Jennifer said with a confident grin, as she punched her fist into her hand. Well, he's right through this wall. Fighting some new friends of ours, Naruto said as his eyes lit up from using his sage senses. Oh, handsome, and has powers to boot, Jennifer said, walking towards Naruto, who gulped nervously at the way she was looking at him. She trailed a finger on his chest, before saying, how's about after this you and me go on a date? But I'm dating Will, Naruto said, trying to resist Jennifer's charms. Oh well, I find her cute too, maybe we can all date each other, and have some fun in the bedroom sometime? Jennifer said, with a sexy smile and wink. Naruto turned to Will, who was turning red, not from anger surprisingly, but from holding back her laughter from seeing Naruto so helpless. Are you gonna help me or laugh at me? He asked her. We can discuss the harem stuff later, Jen. First let's go help our friends with Doom, Will said with a smile. Jen nodded, but she gave Naruto a quick kiss on the cheek, which left him blushing. I can't believe that she went from Miss Shy to Miss Confident bombshell, he thought as Jennifer walked over to the wall that led to Doom and smashed through it easily. She'd also put a little extra sway in her hips as she walked, to tease Naruto, further embarrassing him. Will finally couldn't take it anymore and started laughing at Naruto. Man, I definitely need flirting tips from Jen, this is hilarious, she said as she followed after Jen to fight Doom. Naruto shook his head, as he thought, I need some guy friends to hang out with before following them. You dare interfere with Dr. Doom? The madman yelled as he attacked Reed with an energy blast from his gauntlets, which was blocked by a force field courtesy of Sue. You can't keep this up forever, my dear. You have a limit while I don't, Doom said as he kept firing at her shield, which was taking its toll on her. You should have brought your friend Grin with you if you wanted a chance. Suddenly Jennifer burst through the wall and landed before Doom. Will a She-Hulk do meta-head? She asked, as she slugged Doom hard in the face, sending him flying into a wall. She cracked her knuckles, as she said, damn, that felt good. Doom pulled himself from the wall, and upon seeing Jen's new look said, astonishing. I had no idea that giving you your cousin's blood would produce this. Is it because you're related, or something else? He then questioned before pressing a button on his wrist, which caused the walls to rise up and more of his robots to enter, as he said, I'll need to capture you to study, my dear green lady. Suddenly there was a flash, and Doom's robots fell to the ground, destroyed, with Will appearing in front of him in the air ready to kick him, her body covered in lightning, but a bubble shield blocked her instantly. Fascinating, and who may you be, my dear? Doom asked as Will jumped back from him. I'm the one who's going to kick your ass for taking my friend, she said, giving him a glare with lightning flashing in her eyes. I see, magic I assume, and I'm sensing something else, some kind of energy that is boosting you exponentially, he said to her. Shit, this guy is observant, Will thought, as that was a lot to deduce after one attack. She knew she had to be careful, now that he was interested in her. Suddenly Naruto walked in and glared at Doom. If you have questions, then direct them at me, Chrome Dome, he said, his eyes glowing. I see, you must be her teacher since you are obviously much more powerful. Tell me, why would a man of your obvious power settle at being a regular man with a restaurant, when you could be a king or even a god? Doom asked him, interested what his answer would be. Easy answer, because I'm not interested in power or living like a king. I just want to help people and live my life the way I want to, Naruto told him. An intriguing answer. But you realize that when the world finds out about you and your lightning lady friend, people both good and bad will come to you, and some of those people will want to study you, and find out how your powers work, Doom said, as he got ready to attack. And when that day comes, I will send them back to their masters beaten, Naruto said, going into sage mode ready to fight. Suddenly the roof caved in, and a green figure dropped in between Doom and Naruto. Doom! The Hulk yelled, upset that he hurt his family. Wow, I'm surprised you two convinced him to turn around, Will said, looking at Johnny and Ben, who dropped into the building. Wasn't easy, he's pretty stubborn, believe me, Johnny said. Well, the hothead, you attacked him first before I could tell him we were saving his cousin, which, by the way, after I told him he booked it back here, Ben said. Hulk suddenly grabbed Doom in his hands and squeezed him hard, but he just exploded into robot parts. You're kidding me, that was a robot this whole time? Naruto asked, impressed that Doom had a robot that fooled him. Never underestimate Victor, he's the self-proclaimed master of science and magic, Reed said, sighing that Doom escaped again. Great, now he's interested in us, Will said, unhappy that a supervillain was interested in them. Whoa, who's the Jade Amazon? Johnny asked. Sorry, blonde, but I'm only interested in another blonde, Jen said, as she rested her arm on Naruto's shoulder, as she gave Naruto a wink. Ah man, so not cool, Johnny said, as he dropped his head while thinking, lucky blonde bastard. Jennifer? Hulk asked, walking over to look at his cousin. Yeah, it's me, cuz, Jennifer said, smiling at the Hulk. Hulk smiled back, but then grabbed his head as he shrunk down to his regular form. You okay, man? Naruto asked him, helping the now Bruce Banner up from the floor. I'll be fine, but I need a good meal in me for now, Bruce said, as he was starving. No problem, big man, follow me. We should have our restaurant fixed quickly in no time, Naruto said to him. Thank you, Magic, Will said as they took off back to the rising tide. Hey, you four, you helped us, so you deserve a free meal too, Naruto said, looking at the Fantastic Four. Yeah, plus Naruto needs male friends, Will said, as she laughed at Naruto hanging his head. The four of them shrugged, as Ben said, sure, me and Johnny could use some more friends. Are you any good at poker? Will snorted, he got banned from Vegas. My man has the devil's luck. They were all shocked, as some of them thought no way anyone is that lucky. Oh, Blondie, maybe we should play some strip poker later, Jen said, hoping to get a rise out of Naruto or Bruce, as either of their reactions would make her day. Bruce was surprised at his cousin's new attitude. Wow, I always said you should open up, but geez, Jen, I wasn't expecting this, he told her. Well, get used to it, cause She-Hulk is here to stay, she said, as she flexed her muscles a little. Great name, Will said, giving Jennifer a thumbs up showing her approval. You guys need her names too, you know, Johnny said as he was pretty sure these two were rookies. Later, I'm starving now too, Naruto said as they arrived at the rising tide and Will started fixing the place with her magic. An hour later, they were eating together and chatting like old friends. Eventually they all split into two groups, with the girls taking one end of the restaurant and the guys taking the other. Ben pulled out some cards, as he said, "Okay, blonde, let's see how lucky you are, with a good game of poker." Naruto shrugged, as he said, "Sure thing, so who else is playing?" As he looked at the others, Johnny immediately put his hand up, saying, "I'm in." Bruce and Reed gave a shrug, seeing no harm in playing. "Let's do this," Ben said as he cut the deck. "So Naruto, if I may ask, what else do you and Will use to fight?" Reed asked. "Yeah, old metalhead seemed really interested," Johnny said. "Well, I guess since we are all heroes, I can share some basic information, and yes, Bruce, you are a hero. That abomination incident in Harlem is proof of threat," Naruto said. Bruce looked unsure, as he didn't really agree with Naruto. "Yeah, you did great, man," Johnny said, as he gave a nod of agreement. "Indeed," Reed said, nodding in agreement. "Hear, hear," Ben said as he passed out the cards. As they played, Naruto explained what chakra was to them. "So anyone can learn this?" Johnny asked, surprised that it wasn't a genetic thing. Naruto shrugged, as he replied, "So long as you train, and put in some effort, sure." "Well, if you're willing to train us in it, I can promise you that we won't tell anyone how to do it," Reed said, as he was interested in learning new things. "Same here," Ben said. Bruce nodded, agreeing with them. "Good, this is something I would like to keep out of the hands of assholes like Doom," Naruto said. Bruce gained a sour look on his face, as he said, "Don't be surprised if a man called General Ross comes knocking, demanding that you start teaching soldiers how to use it." "Pfft. I wish that asshole would show up to demand us to help him again," Ben said, growling, as that man tried making demands of them before, but they sent him packing pretty quick. "A typical government asshole?" Naruto asked, getting nods from everyone at the table. "Noted, and I think I won," Naruto said as he laid his cards down. "That's the 5th hand in a row," Johnny said, in complete shock at how many times Naruto had won. "I told you he had the devil's luck," Will yelled from her table with Jennifer and Susan, as they laughed. "So what are you ladies talking about?" Naruto asked. "Well, Susan offered to let me train with them so I can get some control," Jennifer said with a smile. "Good idea," Naruto said, nodding. "After that, I'll continue being a defensive attorney while being a hero at the same time," Jennifer said. "That's a great idea," Naruto said with a smile. "We'll be a popular hero and lawyer with my looks," Jennifer said with a smile, as she flipped her hair over her shoulder. "Speaking of heroes, do you two have hero names yet?" Johnny asked. "I got mine, call me Guardian," Will said with a smile, thinking about what inspired that name. "I think I'll go with Sage, what do you think?" Naruto asked the others. "Both are great names, fellas," Susan said with a smile. The guys went back to their poker game, as Jen turned to Will and asked her, "So Will, what do you think of me and Naruto dating?" "It's fine, as long as you actually like him and this isn't a booty call," Will said, being blunt. Jennifer gave a nod, as she said, "Yeah, I like him. I think he's cool, funny, handsome, and he knows how to cook, which is a really great perk in my book." "Be grateful he can cook now. Took him a while to stop burning everything," Will said, shuddering while remembering the taste of his first few meals. Jen also leaned in, as she whispered, "How big's his tool?" Will whispered back, "Let's just say that he'll reshape you forever." This left Jen intrigued, and couldn't wait for when her first time came with him. The men and women talked into the night, as it was a good friendship forming. A month later, "Man, Jennifer is getting pretty popular as a lawyer thanks to her new looks," Will said as she read the paper which had an interview with Jennifer. "That plus her hero work," Naruto said as he served some customers. "Anything else in the paper?" he asked her. "Well, the president got attacked by a mutant in his own White House," Will said, as she turned to the next page. "How the hell did the mutant get past all his men?" Naruto asked, as even for a mutant that was a tall order. "According to the paper, he was everywhere and nowhere at once," Will said, passing the paper to Naruto, who read it. "Wait, the mutant was that fast but still got shot before he could hurt the president?" "I smell a frame job," Naruto said, as that was way too convenient for him. "Are we going to go find this guy?" Will asked as the last customer left after paying. "Yeah, otherwise this will bug the hell out of me," Naruto said, before they went to get ready. "Any ideas for how to find this guy?" Will asked him, as they packed a few clothes. Naruto shook his head, as he replied, "Not yet, but I'm sure I'll think of something." Suddenly a small portal shaped like a giant ring appeared, and a letter fell through it as the portal disappeared, which Naruto caught. Weird, Naruto said as he opened the letter. Head for these coordinates if you wish to help all of mutant kind, signed a friend. He read from it. Well, it's better than chasing our tails, Will said, as she shrugged her shoulders. Naruto nodded in agreement as they left. A few hours later that night, are we there yet? Will asked Naruto as they flew over a forest, with Will using her wings and Naruto on a summoned bird. I think that's it, Naruto said, pointing at a light which was a campfire. They also noticed what looked like a black jet near the campfire. Well, let's go introduce ourselves, Naruto said before they descended to the camp. When they landed they saw a small group of people. Who are you? A woman with long silver hair asked. Name's Sage and this is Guardian, Naruto said with a smile, trying to be friendly. Never heard of you, so get lost, Bubba Man said as he grew metal claws on his hands. Ouch! Will said as she winced seeing his claws appear. Now, Logan, let's be nice to our guests, a man said in a Cajun accent, who was holding a deck of cards. You're just saying that because one of them is a woman, ya horndog, a woman said with a Southern Belle accent, and a stripe of white hair. You wound me with your words, my dear rogue, the man said, as he had a fake look of hurt on his face. She is telling the truth, Gambit, Logan said, as they all knew he was quite a pervert at times. Enough, all of you, a woman with red hair said as she approached Naruto and Will. They are here to help us. But I can't read the blonde's mind, she said. Hey! Will yelled, getting that the redhead was a mind reader, and she just read her mind. Relax, your secrets are safe with me. I was just checking if you were hostile. The name's Jean Grey, she said, introducing herself. So they are allies? A man that looked like a demon said in a German accent asked, while sitting in a tree. Yes, Kurt, they can be of help, Jean said, while nodding her head. Oh really? A man with a helmet asked as he approached along with what looked like a naked blue woman that had red hair, and a man with flamethrowers on his arms. Oh great, him, Will said, recognizing Magneto since he was all over the news as the leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants. Yes, my dear, I assume you have heard of me from the lies the humans have told about me, he said as he tried to make himself seem important. I don't know, the graves you have filled is pretty good evidence that it's the truth, Will said, glaring at Magneto. The man with flamethrowers took a step towards Will but was stopped by Magneto, who shook his head no at him. So how can you help? The woman with white hair asked. Name's Ororo, by the way, she said. Well, first, what's the situation? I'm gonna guess something that involves mind control, since from what I sense from Kurt, he's a pacifist, so I don't see him attacking the White House unless mind control is involved, Naruto said to them. Smart, Logan said, slightly impressed with Naruto. After an explanation from Jean, Naruto and Will had all the information they needed. Great, a black ops group that's planning a genocide, Naruto said, clearly angry at the leader of this group. So the plan is to just go in and save this professor and your students? Will asked, just to clarify. And stop his plan, Rogue said. Well, let's get going. It's dawn, Logan said. Everyone on the X-Jet Gambit said to Will, so sweetheart, how about after this we get to know each other better? She shook her head, as she replied, sorry, but I'm already in a relationship with Sage, plus I can tell you're a playboy. This made some of the others laugh at Gambit being turned down. Finally, someone besides me can tell he's a dog, Rogue said, laughing, as she held her sides from laughing so much. Everyone, take your seats please, Jean said with a smile as even she found this funny. Everyone sat down and strapped themselves in as the X-Jet took off. So tell me, are you two mutants? Magneto asked, looking at Naruto, as he was interested to learn about them. No, we just don't like bullies, humans or mutants, Naruto said, glaring at Magneto. Magneto does what needs to be done, the blue woman said, as she came to his defense. Please, I can tell a con easily from a mile away. He's just mad at the world because he's had it tough, which is never an excuse to murder people who had nothing to do with what happened to him. How am I doing in the ballpark? Naruto asked, looking at Magneto with no fear. Ha! He's got you pegged, Magneto, Logan said with a smirk, as he smoked a cigar. Please, we don't need a psychiatrist degree to figure him out, Will said, rolling her eyes. So what are your powers? Rogue asked in curiosity. Lightning and some other tricks, Will said, as she made sparks appear on her hand. And you love? Rogue asked, turning to Naruto. Let's just say I'm a man of many talents, my dear, Naruto said with a smile as Rogue smiled at Naruto. See, now that's called having game, Logan said to Gambit, who was surprised that Naruto got a smile out of Rogue. We are approaching our destination, Jean said as they came into a landing. So what's the plan? Naruto asked as they got up. Stryker wants me, so I'm thinking I enter into the base and find the control room, Logan said. And what are you going to do, Logan? Scratch it with your claws? Magneto sarcastically asked him. At least I'm coming up with a plan, old man. What's your excuse? Too old to think of one. Logan bit back in irritation. I have an idea, Magneto said as he explained his idea. It's a good idea, but I have an idea to add to it, Naruto said as he approached Mystique. 30 minutes later, a group of soldiers were escorting Logan into the base with his arms bound. When they got in, the room was filled with soldiers armed and ready, with Stryker looking at Logan. Stryker looked at Logan and turned to his captain. I know my work. That's not my work, he said with certainty. Logan smirked and slipped out of his restraints and transformed into Mystique and pulled out a kunai and stabbed it into the floor. Suddenly Naruto, Will and the X-Men along with Magneto and Pyro appeared where the kunai struck. Surprise, bitches! Will yelled as she unleashed lightning on the whole room, which made all of the electronics go haywire. Take them out! Naruto yelled as him and the others attacked. As they all attacked, Logan noticed something. Stryker was trying to slip away. Stryker! He yelled as he followed after him. Shit, we need him alive! Rogue called out as she grabbed a guy who fell to the ground. On it, Naruto said as he took off to help Logan, but to make sure he didn't kill Stryker. When he caught up, he found them talking in a room with what looked like a pod. You know, I used to think you were unique, Logan, but I was wrong, Stryker said as he approached the pod's controls. What are you talking about? Logan asked, readying his claws. Meet your clone, or if you want to be sentimental, your daughter, Stryker said as he pushed a button which made the pod open. A young woman fell out of the pod and looked at Stryker with hate in her eyes, while touching her neck which had a collar around it. Yes, it is armed. Now kill him, or it goes off. Your healing factor won't save you from this bomb, girl, Stryker said, while holding a detonator in his hand. The young woman looked at Logan and from her hands came 2 claws on each hand. Oh shit, Logan said, sadly knowing what this girl was. You're a dead man, Stryker. Logan yelled in rage as the young woman attacked him with a kick, showing she had a blade on each foot too. Not yet, I'm not, Stryker said as he walked to the door, but was stopped as Naruto grabbed him by the arm that had the detonator and put him on a submission hold. Talk, asshole. Who is that girl? Naruto asked him, with a cross look. We call her X-23, she's a clone of Logan, made to be a weapon for the government until one of her caretakers tried to free her, he explained to him. Naruto growled and stabbed him in the arm with a kunai and took the detonator from him. You stay here, or my kunai will blow up and take your arm with it, he said to Stryker, who was holding his arm in pain. Naruto turned to the fight going on between X-23 and Logan was barely fighting back as he didn't want to hurt her. Naruto used his speed to appear behind X-23 and grabbed her, but she slipped out of his hold and jumped on him, trying to stab him. Shit, this girl is strong, Naruto thought as he kept her from stabbing him. What the hell is going on? Will asked, as she and the others arrived to back them up. She's being forced to fight us. Will, bribe her bomb collar or something, please. Naruto yelled as X-23 had him against a wall trying to stab him. Will quickly flew over and grabbed her collar, and a zap later it opened and fell off. X-23 stopped and grabbed her neck in shock. She then looked at Stryker, who was still pinned by Naruto's kunai, and gained a look of pure rage and ran at him with her claws ready to dig into his chest. Naruto suddenly appeared in front of her, and blocked her, then threw her towards the exit. She snarled at him, but looked at the others with him, and then opened the exit and fled. Wait! Logan said, getting up fully healed ready to go after her. Don't bother, she's more animal than you. I made sure of it when I killed her caregiver, Stryker said, as he had a twisted grin on his face. So you basically killed her mother? Naruto asked with his eyes turning into the Rinnegan. Pretty much, you mutant-free, Stryker was saying until Naruto grabbed him by his neck. I usually don't do this, but you are truly one of the most evil men I have met, Naruto said as he put his hand to Stryker's forehead, who began to scream in agony as his soul was ripped out of him by Naruto. Once his soul was gone, Stryker fell to the ground dead. Kurt started praying for Stryker, as to him it was the right thing to do. Naruto looked at the body with disgust, like he just touched something disgusting. You okay? Will asked him, hoping that he was. I will be, once we save the students and the professor, Naruto replied. Follow me, I got the information from his captain, Jean said. Where the hell is Magneto and his groupies? Naruto asked, noticing that they were not there. Shit! Logan said, knowing that Magneto was going to be causing trouble. With Magneto had just reversed the Cerebro duplicate to kill all humans, when he was struck by Naruto, who held him against the wall. What did you do? Talk. Naruto demanded from him. Pyro attacked with his flames, which made Naruto drop Magneto. Last chance, asshole, Naruto said as appeared behind Pyro, his hand on his head and his Rinnegan active. What did you do? Naruto again demanded. You would rip out his soul to make me talk? Magneto asked him, thinking he wouldn't do it since he wasn't as evil as Stryker. In a heartbeat, he's got a high body count like you do, so I won't lose much sleep doing it, Naruto said with a shrug. Eric Mystique said to Magneto, as she could tell Naruto wasn't bluffing, seeing the seriousness in his eyes. I reverse Cerebro, so that all humans would die instead of all the mutants, Magneto said to him. Naruto then kicked Pyro to Magneto, and said, you and your groupies have 5 minutes to leave before I bury you. I have a machine to trash, he said as he left to go stop the Cerebro duplicate. Pyro went to attack again, but Magneto grabbed his shoulder and shook his head. We have lost this battle today, let's leave. For now we have a much bigger plan to prepare, he said as they left. Outside the base, that went better than expected, despite the soul ripping, Gambit said, giving Naruto a look. Let's get the students. And the professor along with Scott home, Jean said as they all boarded the X-Jet. Logan was sniffing around trying to catch a scent but had no luck. No luck finding her? Naruto asked Logan, who shook his head. Don't worry, we will keep an eye out for you, Will said, trying to give Logan some hope. If we see anything from her, we will call you, Logan, Naruto said, as he placed a hand on his shoulder. I would like to extend my thanks to you too, Charles said, as Scott carried him. I'm glad we could help, Naruto said, nodding at the man. Thanks for the help, Suga, Rogue said as she pinched Naruto's cheek. Text ya later, Rogue. Will yelled, waving as they took off back to New York. You and Rogue sure got along, Will said with a smirk as they flew home. I'm ignoring you, Naruto said, not looking at Will, whose smile got bigger. Whatever you say, Suga, Will said, using Rogue's accent before she gave a laugh, as Naruto groaned at her joke. A month later, Naruto and Will were each serving customers, as the place had become quite popular after the incident with the thugs, as they were. The bell above the door rang as the door was pushed open, letting them know they had another customer. Welcome, Naruto said, as he was busy behind the counter, with his head underneath as he looked for some more glass mats. You will have to excuse us, as we've been fairly busy today. I would expect nothing less from the restaurant that the Fantastic Four endorsed, a woman's voice said. After finding some more glass mats, Naruto then popped up from behind the counter and said, now how can I help? As before him was a drop-dead gorgeous blonde woman, who was dressed all in white. The woman looked at Naruto with a smile. Well, aren't you a handsome specimen, she said while looking him over. Thanks for the compliment, miss? Naruto asked, hoping to get her name. Emma Frost, the woman said, which got a reaction out of Will, who grabbed Naruto and dragged him into the kitchen for a private chat. Be right back, Miss Frost, Naruto called out, as Will pulled his arm. Take your time, Emma said with a smile. What's up? Naruto asked Will, curious about her reaction. Your new friend is a mutant. Rouge told me about her. She's a telepath that has manipulated men and dumped them when she's bored with them, Will said with a frown, as this was a worse version of her old friend. Cornelia, relax, you remember those genjutsu exercises I taught you? Naruto asked as he held Will's hand. Yeah, I remember them. You made me practice them until I could do them in my sleep, she said. Well, it's effective against telepaths. Not completely, but it will stop her from controlling us, at least, Naruto said. Thank goodness, Will said, as she didn't want some blonde bimbo manipulating and hurting Naruto. Come on, Will, you're prejudging her just because she's a telepath, Naruto said, sounding disappointed in her. Okay, I'll be friendly for you, Will said as Naruto smiled and gave her a kiss on the cheek, as they walked out of the kitchen. Everything okay? Emma asked, as she put down a menu to look at Naruto and Will. Everything is fine. So what can I get you? Naruto asked, as he pulled out a notepad to take her order. Well, your fruit salad sounds wonderful, Emma said with a smile, as she leaned forward to show some of her revealed cleavage at Naruto, and she wanted to get a reaction from Will. Naruto wrote it down and smiled. You're in luck, Miss Frost. We just got a fresh supply of fruit in, Naruto said as he went into the kitchen. A gentleman, how refreshing, Emma thought, as that move usually made men start to leer at her like a piece of meat. Nice try. But Naruto prefers to actually know someone. Looks are just a bonus to him, Will said as she handed Emma a glass of water. Interesting, Emma said as she tried to read Will's mind and saw something she didn't expect. I see you two have met the X-Men, she said, sounding disappointed. Yes, and it seems Naruto was right. His training made it harder for you to read my mind, Will said to her smugly. I'll leave if you want, Emma said, as she figured that they wouldn't trust a telepath with her reputation. Will frowned, before shaking her head saying no, I promised Naruto I would give you a chance, so why are you here in New York? She then asked Emma. Got sick of manipulating people to get what I wanted, way too boring, so I decided to move to New York and open a dance club, Emma said truthfully. And thanks to my powers, I'm able to tell when things are getting out of hand, she added. I had you pegged as a... Will was saying but stopped trying to find the right words. Shallow bitch? Emma asked with a smile, as she'd heard it before and quite frankly she agreed, she was like that before. Will laughed before saying well at least you can admit it, which shows you're not so bad now. Name's Will Van welcome to the neighborhood, Emma Will said, as she held out her hand. Emma took her hand and shook it as she smiled. Thanks, Will, she said. Glad to see you. Gossiping with Rouge didn't ruin your chance to make a new friend, Naruto said as he came out with Emma's fruit salad. Yeah, she said you stole Gambit from her back when they were teens, Will said. Not one of my best moments. But to be fair, I barely did anything to attract him, Emma said as she still wanted to apologize to Rouge for that. Well, she's not that mad since she knows Gambit is a dog now, so she most likely will let you get an apology out, Will said with a smile as she knew Rouge had a temper but a good conscience. Emma smiled, glad that her last actions didn't cause anything long-lasting. Suddenly, a man in a black suit came into the restaurant. Can I help you, sir? Naruto asked, as he moved towards him. Hello, Mr. Uzumaki. I am Agent Coulson of S.H.I.E.L.D. The man, Coulson said. You mean those guys that defend against meta-human threats? Will asked, having heard of them. Indeed. I see the theory that you can talk to electronics is true, as we believe that is how you know so much, Coulson said with a nod. What do your bosses want? Naruto asked him, as he crossed his arms. We have a situation that could put the world in danger. I have been ordered to bring you two in to help with the situation, he told them. He's telling the truth, Emma said, having taken a quick look in his mind. Miss Frost, I have been briefed on you. I'm glad you decided to be a better person, but I'm afraid you must stay behind, he told her. Probably for the best, since the government are not fans of mutants, Emma said, getting up. Here, handsome, keep in touch, she said, handing Naruto and Will a business card as she then left. Well, if the world is in danger, then let's do this, Naruto said out loud. Yeah, lead the way, Will said as she gestured her hand at Coulson. Good, you two were the most easy to convince besides Cap, Coulson said, relieved. Are you recruiting more? Naruto asked him. Cap? Will asked, before she said, surely you don't mean who I think you mean? I thought that guy was dead. So did we all. But he somehow got suspended in ice. We only found him about 4 months ago, and we've done our best to rehabilitate him back into the world, Coulson told them, with Naruto telling he was trying his best to not act like a giddy little schoolboy. Obviously a fan of the captain, he thought, giving his head a slight shake while a small smile was on his lips. A few hours later, aboard the Helicarrier. Wow, this place is cool, Will said, looking around. Hands in pockets, Miss Van a bald black man with an eye patch said, walking into the room. Will said, as she pouted cutely before doing as he said. Probably for the best with your abilities, Natasha said, walking into the room with Bruce behind her. Hello Katie, and hey Bruce, Naruto said to the two of them. Hey Naruto, Bruce said as he shook their hands. I see that they brought you both in as well. They both nodded before the bald man cleared his throat to get their attention. Mr. Uzumaki and Miss Van this is Natasha Romanoff, special agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and one of my best, he said, as she walked over to them. So I was right when I said that you looked more like a Natasha than a Katie, Naruto said to her. She gave a shrug, as she said, sorry about that. I was instructed to get whatever info I could about you two, since you two popped up about 3 years ago so suddenly and without warning. So I'd sent her to see what she could learn about the two of you, her boss said. Name's Nick Fury, by the way, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well then, Nikki, Naruto said as Will snorted with laughter while Bruce gave a chuckle, with Natasha just shaking her head as Nick narrowed his eye. What's the problem? Since you need all of our help. Approximately several hours ago, we were testing an unknown alien object when we were attacked by a man named Loki, Fury said as he pushed a button that showed footage of Loki's attack. Wait, you mean the god of mischief is actually real? Naruto said, with a surprised look. Very real, Mr. Uzumaki, Fury told him. Great, what's next, his brother Thor? Will asked sarcastically. Fury and Natasha were silent, as Coulson looked off to one side. Will's eyes widened in realization. Oh, for fuck's sake, I was just kidding, Will said as she threw her arms up. Language please, miss, a man said walking into the room. Well, if it isn't the Star-Spangled Man with a plan, Naruto said with a smile. Will snorted at this, while Coulson shook his head at Naruto's antics. I read your file, Mr. Uzumaki, and I'm impressed that you just help people because it's right. That's sadly rare in these times, Steve said with a slightly sad look. There's more good in the world than you think, just takes work to remove the grime, Naruto said. Good sentiment, but for now let's focus on tracking Loki down, Fury said to all of them. Yes, we need to find the Tesseract, Steve said with a determined look. Mr. Fury? A woman said approaching them. Yes, Miss Hill? Fury asked. We have found Loki. He's at a party in Stuttgart, she explained to them. Why the hell would he be there? Will asked, curious what Loki was planning. Let's ask him. When we beat him, Naruto said as he slammed his fist into the palm of his hand. Stuttgart, sometime later. He has a flair for the dramatic, doesn't he? Will asked, as they watched Loki make a group of people kneel before him. He's an attention-seeking ass, Naruto said bluntly, with his arms crossed. That too, now let's go help Cap kick his ass, Will said, as Cap started to fight Loki, while the civilians ran. Let's, Naruto said as him and Will flew towards the fight. Loki had his staff at Cap's back and was telling him to kneel, when Will struck him with a lightning kick which sent him flying into a fountain. Ah, the visitor from another dimension and his wench, Loki said as he got up, barely affected by Will's attack. Naruto suddenly appeared before Loki and shoved a Rasengan into his chest, which sent him flying into a bus. Little bit overkill, don't you think? Natasha asked over a speaker on the Quinjet that was above them. Please, that was a love tap, he's a god, right? Will asked. And in my opinion, there's no such thing as overkill, Naruto added. Thanks for the backup, Cap said as he picked up his shield. Loki suddenly jumped out of the wreckage and landed in front of the three heroes. Before the fight could continue, they heard some rock music playing over the speakers. Suddenly, some beams hit Loki, sending him to the ground as Iron Man landed in front of Loki and aimed his weapons at him. Your move, Reindeer Games, he quipped. Little late, aren't you? Naruto asked him sarcastically. Probably could have showed up on time, if he didn't have to show off with that music crap, Will said, crossing her arms. Who's the ninja and Tinkerbell? Iron Man asked, looking at Cap, as he bound Loki's arms in some cuffs. The hell did he call me? Will yelled, not liking to be named after a fictional character. Well, it's better than being called a witch, Naruto said, as they boarded the Quinjet. Plus you do look like a fairy, Cap said, shrugging his shoulders. Will growled in annoyance, as she stomped onto the Quinjet. 30 minutes later. Great, a lightning storm, Naruto said from his seat. Are you scared of lightning? Tony asked Loki sarcastically, while standing up across from him with Cap standing next to him. I'm not overly fond of what comes next, Loki said, as he wearily looked at the roof. Naruto just gave him a glare, as they then heard something landing on the roof of the Quinjet, which made it shake a little and jostle those inside it. Tony and Cap placed their helmets back on. Before Tony walked to the back as he opened up the ramp, Naruto and Will stood up, as they got ready for whatever came through the ramp. What are you doing? Rogers asked Tony. Once the ramp was lowered down, everyone saw a blonde-haired man wielding a hammer of some kind land at the back as he entered the Quinjet. Oh great, I should have kept my mouth shut, Will said, recognizing who this obviously was. Thor pushes Tony out of the way and walks towards Loki, but Naruto tackled Thor and they rolled down the ramp and out of the Quinjet. Naruto! Will yelled, before she followed after them to see that Naruto was alright. Stay with the god of pranks or whatever he's called, Tony said to Cap as he followed. With Naruto, Naruto and Thor landed on a mountainside, and were glaring at each other. You have no idea what you're dealing with, whispered mortal Thor said, while hefting his hammer. I have heard that before, so either explain yourself or leave, Naruto said, as he got ready in case Thor attacked. I will not be ordered around by you, Thor said as he threw his hammer at Naruto. Naruto dodged the hammer and charged at Thor, with a Rasengan in his hand as he struck Thor, and sent him flying from the mountainside into the forest below. Nice attack, Hayabusa, Tony said as he flew past Naruto to go attack Thor. Wait for me, a show-off, Naruto said as he followed. Wait! Will said as she landed nearby. Men, she said under her breath as she looked around, and spotted Thor's hammer on the ground with the handle in the air. With Naruto. Naruto landed near where Tony and Thor were talking, just as Tony pretended to speak like Shakespeare. Thor was not amused as he held out his hand as if he was waiting for something. He looked at his hand surprised, while thinking, why does Mjolnir not return to me? Heads up! Will shouted as she appeared in a flash and struck Thor in the face with Mjolnir, sending him flying into tree. Nice shot, Tink, Tony said, impressed, before he backed up as she glared at him, as she said, don't call me that, or any other fairy-like name. Thor threw a tree off of him and looked at Will in shock. You want another? Will asked, holding up Mjolnir, ready for him to attack. Wait! I don't think we should fight now, not if you are worthy of lifting Mjolnir, Thor said. What, you mean hammer time? Tony asked, looking between Will and Thor. Only the worthy are capable of lifting my hammer, so if this maiden can do it, and she's on your side, then we shouldn't fight, Thor said. Well, at least this fight ended before someone got hurt, Naruto said as he gave a sigh of relief. Back at the Helicarrier, some time later, everyone except Tony were sitting or standing in the command center, as they heard Loki and Fury talking. He really grows on ya, doesn't he? Bruce said, with his hand on his chin, as the video feed turned off after the two finished their chat. He's an asshole, plain and simple, Will said, sitting down next to Naruto and Steve. Naruto nodded in agreement, as he said, and if this guy thinks he's the best at pranks and mischief, he hasn't met me at my best when I'm doing them. He's playing us, Natasha said as she gave Loki a calculating look on the screen. Agreed. Loki's going to try and drag this out as much as he can, Naruto said in agreement, as it was classic tactics to make your foes look in one direction, when they should have looked in the other. So, Thor, what's his play gonna be? Steve asked Thor. Thor turned to the others, and replied, Loki has an army called the Shatori. All I know is that they are not of Asgard, or of any of the known worlds. He'll mean to lead them against you all, so that they may win him the Earth, and I suspect for the Tesseract in return. An army? That's from outer space? Naruto said in disbelief. Will just shook her head, as she said, looks like things'll really heat up if he gets them here. So that means he's building another portal then, Bruce said as he took his glasses off, which explains what he needed Eric Selvig for. Selvig? Thor said, recognizing the name. He's an astrophysicist, Bruce explained to him. He's also a friend, Thor said to them. Natasha leaned forward, as she said, Loki's got him under some kind of spell, along with one of our own. What I want to know is, why did Loki let us grab him? Steve said, as he ain't leading any army from here, that's for sure. Bruce shook his head, saying, I don't think that we should focus on Loki. That guy's brain is a bag full of cats. You can literally smell the crazy coming off him. Take care how you speak, Thor said, as he took a few steps forward. Loki may be beyond reason, but he is of Asgard, and he's my brother. He killed 80 people in 2 days, Natasha told him. Thor shrugged sheepishly, as he replied, he's adopted. I think it's more about the mechanics, the iridium. What do they need the iridium for? Bruce said to them. Stability, a voice said, making them all turn to see Stark and Coulson enter the room. Stark whispered something to Coulson, before they separated. As Stark continued, it means that the portal won't collapse on itself, like it did at S.H.I.E.L.D. He then went over to the computer consoles. Also it means that portal can open as wide, and stay open for as long as Loki wants it to. He then faced the front, and said, raise the mizzenmast and jib the topsails. This made all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents stop working, as they looked at him in confusion. Tony then pointed at an agent, as he said, that man is playing Galaga. He thought that none of us would notice, but we did. He then pretended to be Fury, as he placed his hand over his eye to look like Fury's eye patch, and said, how does Fury even see all those computer screens? He turns, Hill replied in a sharp tone of voice. Sounds exhausting, Tony replied, trying to be funny. He then started touching some of the computer screens while still talking, as he went from one side to the other. As for the rest of the raw materials, I'm sure Agent Barton can get his hands on pretty easily. The only major component that he needs is a power source of high energy density. He placed a small device on one of the computer stands, while the others weren't looking, where it then activated something to basically kickstart the cube. He finished as he clicked his fingers and clapped his hands together. When did you suddenly become such an expert in thermonuclear astrophysics? Maria asked him, trying not to sound impressed or surprised. Last night, was Stark's snarky reply, with Maria giving him a slight glare at his reply. He walked away from the computers, as he said, the packet, Selvig's notes, the extraction theory notes. Am I the only one who did any of the reading? He then asked while spreading his arms out, looking at the rest of them. I think you're the only one here that did, smart guy, Naruto said. Does Loki need any specific kind of power source? Rogers asked. Bruce paced a bit, as he said he'd have to heat the cube to about 120 million Kelvin just to break through the Coulomb barrier. Stark nodded his head in agreement, as he spread his arms before saying unless Selvig has figured out how to stabilize the quantum tunneling effect while walking towards Bruce. WLL, if he could do that, then he could achieve heavy ion fusion at any reactor on the planet, Banner said in reply. Stark looked slightly happy, as he said finally, someone that speaks English, before he walked to Bruce and shook his hand. Steve leaned forward, and said, is that what just happened? While looking confused, Naruto just shook his head, before saying, cap to geeks like them, nerd talk is like another form of English. Bruce gave him a non-heated glare, while smiling as he said, hey, I resemble that remark. Naruto just gave him a shrug, as Will gave a giggle. Stark then said, it's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Banner, and I just have to say your work on anti-electron collisions is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of when you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster. Bruce looked uncomfortable at that last part, but he still managed a small nod as he said thanks. Nick Fury then entered, as he said, Dr. Banner is only here to track down the cube, and I was hoping that you might join him. Stark. Tony gave a nod of agreement, while giving Bruce a sidelong look. I'd start with that stick of his, Steve said to them. It might be magical, but it works an awful lot like a hydro weapon. Will nodded in agreement, as she said, yeah, I agree with him. I can sense some kind of mystical energy from it. I don't know about that, Nick said in an unsure tone, before adding, I'm almost positive that your ability to bring electronics to life is a mutant ability, and not magic as you claim, Miss Van. But it is powered by the cube, and I would like to know how Loki used it to turn two of my best agents, who had the sharpest minds, into his own personal flying monkeys. Thor looked confused, as he said, monkeys? I don't understand. I do, Steve said quickly, with Stark rolling his eyes and Banner looking over at him. Steve collected himself, before saying, I understood that reference, as he shrugged his shoulders a little. Tony just turned to Bruce, as he said, shall we play then, Doctor? Bruce swept his arm towards where the lab was, as he said, this way, Stark. The man that Tony pointed out made sure no one was looking, before turning his computer back to Galaga and continuing where he paused it. Fury said, Agent Hiroshi Ono, get back to work please. You can play your game later. The agent gave a sheepish nod, before stopping his game, and continued working. Let's go try and help Bruce, Will said. Actually, I wanted to ask Naruto some questions, Natasha said, walking over. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, as he said, sure thing. He turned to Will, and said, try and keep Tony from annoying Bruce. On it, try not to hurt him, Red. He has a weakness for redheads, Will said, walking after Tony and Bruce, laughing at the look of betrayal on Naruto's face. Natasha turned to him, with a light smile, saying, oh, you do you? I'm gonna kill Will later, Naruto thought, as he hated when women teased him about how ignorant of women he was. With Will, there is no way it's magic, Tony said, as he typed on the computers used to try and track the cube. I bet I could hack S.H.I.E.L.D.'s computers before you, Will said challengingly. Please do, Tony said in a condescending voice, finding it hard to believe she could do it. Will tapped the computer, and it came to life with a spark. Hey Stan, how've you been? Will asked the computer, /Excelsior. Greetings, Miss Van. How are you and your boyfriend doing, after I helped you get your paperwork through? The computer said in a kind old man's voice. Great, Stan, Will said with a smile as she turned to Tony and Bruce, who both had flabbergasted looks on their faces. Wah, but that's, I don't, you, Tony said, as he was too stunned to form proper sentences or words, after what he just saw happen. Will just gave a giggle, before saying, so Stan, can you tell me what it is that Fury wants the Tesseract for? Absolutely, Miss Van. That ex-pirates bosses want to start developing weapons as soon as possible. It seems Mr. Odinson's little escapade in New Mexico scared them into wanting weapons that can actually stand up to things from off-Earth. Stan said, getting unhappy looks from Tony and Bruce. This isn't good, Steve said, walking into the room as he heard everything. He then explained to them about what Hydra did during World War II, and how they used the Tesseract to create powerful weapons. And that was just with the tech back then. It will be way worse in modern times, Bruce said, as he started pacing in worry while wringing his hands. What's wrong, my friends? Thor asked, as he walked into the room. Apparently, because of your incident in New Mexico with that metal man, the leaders of S.H.I.E.L.D. want to use the Tesseract to make weapons, Tony said, which made Thor look unhappy. With Naruto. Naruto was currently on the ceiling of the room that held Loki's cell, watching Natasha talk to Loki without Loki noticing him. She's really good, she could give Anko a run for her money, and she's not even threatening him, Naruto thought as Natasha just got the info she wanted. Really? The Hulk? That's your big plan? I expected better from the god of mischief and tricks, Naruto said as he dropped down from the ceiling, landing next to Natasha. Loki looked surprised and growled in anger. I won't be mocked by a fool that had to flee his home dimension like a coward, Loki said with a manic grin on his face. Naruto glared at Loki, with some demonic chakra thanks to the clone Kurama he had sealed in him. Loki backed off from his cell, as he felt the killer intent behind those eyes. What are you? Loki asked, as he had never felt fear except from two other people, his adopted father and the being that sent him here for the Tesseract. He was doing his best not to shake in fear, but a few shakes and shivers were able to get through. Interesting, Natasha thought, seeing Loki's reaction to Naruto. Let's go warn the others of what Loki's planning is, Natasha said to Naruto. Good idea. Plus I think I know where he's gonna try and open a portal, Naruto said as they left. Natasha stopped at the door, as she mockingly said to Loki, and thanks for your cooperation before leaving with Naruto. With Will. I thought I told you to keep your hands in your pockets, Miss Van Fury said as he walked into the room. What can I say? I'm not so trusting of assholes with a hidden agenda, Will said, with her arms crossed. Tony laughed while slapping one of his legs. I'm upgrading you from Tink to Sparky, he said with a chuckle. You have no clue what you are messing with, Thor said to Nick. I have to agree, seeing that I have been on the receiving end of weapons made from the Tesseract, Nick, Steve said unhappily. Steve, we need something to protect us in case something worse than what happened in New Mexico arrives on Earth, Fury told him. There are plenty of options before weapons that bad, Fury, Naruto said as he walked into the room, with Natasha right behind him. Well, we could have soldiers, if you weren't so untrusting, Fury said with a pointed look at Naruto. You think he's gonna trust you or shield, when you are too much of a chicken shit to tell your bosses no? Will asked. How did you find Nick was asking. / that would be me, Fury, and I gotta say, asking for help when you don't have a spine against your bosses is pretty stupid to me, and I'm a computer / they all heard from the computer system. Still not used to that, Tony said, as even though he had his AI Jarvis, this was something else entirely. Hey Stan, right? Can you tell me if Stark Tower is okay? Naruto asked as he had a hunch, and he was hoping that he was wrong. / of course, Mr. Uzumaki. Right now, Stark Tower is fine, but it appears Dr. Selvig is on the roof with the Tesseract. Shall I call your superpowered friends to try and stop him? / Stan asked. Great idea, Stan, Naruto said with a smile. Superpowered friends? Tony asked curiously. Don't worry, you'll meet them soon, and I'm pretty sure that you know some, if not most of them, Naruto said, as he waved his hand. How impressive could they be? Tony asked as he took a drink. Fantastic Four and the X-Men, Will said flatly, as Tony choked on his drink. Okay, that's impressive, he said after he got his drink down the right way. Impressive, Steve said, as he had heard of both of those teams. It also helped that he and Logan were friends, and helped each other out in World War II. We also know a few other heroes, Naruto said. / yes, Miss Jones, Miss Walters and Miss Frost. I'm calling them too. / Stan's voice said. Oh, the Green Amazon, Tony said with a perverted smile. Watch it, that's my cousin, Bruce said. And hate to tell ya, Mr. Billionaire, but she's got her eye on someone else, Will said, as she looked in Naruto's direction. Stark was able to figure it out, before giving a pout while saying, "Oh, that's so not cool." This coming from the guy who slept with the entire Playboy Mansion on New Year's Eve, Natasha said flatly, with raised eyebrows. "Ah, well, I'm a one-man guy anyway," Tony said with a smile, trying to be charming. "Miss Potts has the patience of a saint," Thor said, as for a mortal, Stark was exhausting to be around. "So, what's the god of being a dick's plan?" Will asked, which caused many to chuckle at Loki's nickname. "He was gonna try and manipulate Bruce, but I'm here so he can't," Naruto said. "Oh? You can keep the jolly green giant from coming out?" Tony asked. "Nah, but the big guy likes me," Naruto said with a smile. "You're kidding?" Fury asked, surprised but trying to keep a poker face. Naruto gave him a deadpan look, saying, "Does it look like I'm in a kidding kind of mood?" We have some boggies attacking the Helicarrier, Stan said, in a worried kind of tone. "Take control, and get us away from them." Will yelled, but suddenly the entire ship shook. "Report please," Fury asked. Loki got free, thanks to Mr. Barton and a young woman he brought with him, Stan said. "Young woman?" Naruto asked, in confusion. "With Loki. I knew recruiting you would pay off, Loki said with a crazy grin, as he looked at X-23 who had a trail of bodies behind her. Orders, sir? Clint asked as he handed Loki his staff, with his entranced eyes looking to see if other agents were coming. Both of you go and slow down my brother and his friends, while I leave to summon my army, Loki said as a group of soldiers under his control left. X-23 nodded, as she ran down one hall and Clint went down another. With Naruto and the others, shit, Naruto said, as he looked at the footage of X-23 and Clint going down separate hallways. Logan is so gonna kill him, Will said, referring to Loki and knowing Logan won't be happy once he hears about this. Why would Logan care? Steve asked curiously. The girl's his clone daughter, to put it mildly, Fury said, getting a look of thanks from Naruto, as most people just called her a clone. Steve's eyes widened slightly as he nodded, before he said to Thor, looks like you'll be taking your brother home in a body bag. Not that he probably does not deserve it, but he will face Asgardian justice, Thor said. For now, let's split up. Thor and Cap will go after Logan's kid with me, Naruto said. Nat and Tony, you help me with Legolas, Will said. Ha! I gotta remember that one, Tony said as he girded up in his suit. Bruce, you think the big guy can go after Loki? Naruto said with an evil smile. Bruce sighed. If it's for a friend, sure, he said as he transformed and roared. Hey big man, you know your mission? Naruto asked. Hulk nodded, as he growled out, Hulk smash, puny god of tricks. We need him alive, buddy, Will said with a smile. Hulk pouted that he couldn't smash Loki, but gave a nod as he understood. There's an all-you-can-eat meal in it for you. After this is all over, buddy, Naruto said, patting the Hulk's back. Hulk smiled, as he said Hulk like puny blonde man before he went to look for Loki. It's Naruto, buddy! Naruto yelled after him as they all split up to go take care of X-23 and Clint, with Will and her group. Marco, Tony said, as they patrolled the room that Stan pointed them to. Come on, you have to say polo now, he said in an attempt to be funny. Will suddenly turned around, and caught an arrow aimed at Tony that shocked her, but had no effect thanks to her powers. Thanks, Sparky, Tony said to her, as he scanned the room. He's headed to the vent on the east side, he told the others. On it, Will said, as she zipped over to the vent in a flash. Show off, Natasha said as she followed, and cut off Clint before he could retreat from Will. Clint went for a knife, but Tony grabbed him and smashed his head into the wall, knocking him out. Well, that was easy, Tony said as he dusted his hands off. To be fair, he's not at his best as a mind's slave, Natasha said. Tony gave her a sour look, as he said, just let me enjoy that I took him down. Natasha just shook her head in bemusement, before touching her earpiece as she said, Clint's been taken care of. How's things on your end, Naruto? Ask me when I calm this chick down. Naruto yelled over the intercom, where she could hear grunts and fists hitting skin over the earpiece along with groans of pain. Let's go help Naruto before she forces him to hurt her, Will said. It's one woman versus 3 powerhouses, how bad can she be? Tony asked her. With Naruto. And I thought Logan was an animal, Steve said, as he blocked some strikes from X-23 with his shield. Well, females in most species are more aggressive, Thor said as he tried pinning her by throwing his hammer, but she was too fast. You're so lucky Tony's not here, otherwise he'd have made some kind of sexual remark about both of those, Naruto said, as he tried to trip her up, but she flipped over him and kicked him in the back. Any ideas? Steve asked as he threw his shield at her, but she punched it back at him. Naruto sighed, feeling there was no other choice, as an orange cloak of chakra in the shape of a fox appeared around him. X-23 stopped and looked at Naruto in surprise, which gave Naruto the opening to slug her in the stomach with a low-powered Rasengan, which sent her flying towards Steve, who blocked with his shield, and she bounced into the air, where Thor struck her in the face with his hammer, sending her flying into the ground with a thud. Naruto ran to her and checked her pulse. Thank God, she's alive, he said with a sigh. He gave a shiver, while thinking if she was accidentally killed by any of us, and Logan found out, I don't think anyone would have been able to find our bodies. Such a fierce warrior. I have never met a female like this before, Thor said, as he knew female warriors but none that were so instinct-driven. Definitely Logan's kid, clone or not, Steve said as he caught his breath. You guys okay? Will asked as her, Natasha and Tony arrived. Do we look okay? Naruto asked her as him. Steve and Thor had nicks and their clothes were slashed. You look like she kicked your ass, Tony said, as his helmet went up showing he was smiling at them. Yeah, laugh it up, rich boy. Next time you can take her on, Steve said. Please, the ladies love me, Tony said confidently. Oh, she'll love you all right, as she rips you to shreds, Naruto told him. We should get her and Clint to the infirmary, Natasha said as she carried the unconscious Clint over her shoulder, in a fireman's carry. I'll stay with X-23, since we don't know how she will react when she wakes up, Naruto said, as he picked her up. I'll go retrieve Hulk, Will said, as she walked off in the direction he'd gone in. 30 minutes later with Naruto. Naruto was in a hospital room, with the sleeping X-23 who was groaning as she woke up. When she saw Naruto, she unleashed her claws, like she was preparing for his attack. Relax, I'm not here to fight, Naruto said, as he used a little bit of sage chakra to put out a calming aura, which seemed to work as she put her claws away. There, that's better. You have a name? Naruto asked with a smile. She frowned. Before replying, they have only called me X-23 or Freak. Naruto frowned, as he didn't like that at all. I'm sure your caregiver called you something else, as from what that asshole Striker said, she cared about you a lot, he told her, while giving her a comforting smile. X-23 thought about her caregiver, and cried a little bit. Damn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you sad, Naruto said, as he handed her a handkerchief. Laura, she replied as she wiped her eyes. Laura, huh? I like it, it suits you, Naruto said with a smile. Laura lightly smiled but then gained a determined look. Where is Loki? She asked him. New York, getting ready to summon an alien army, Naruto said. Good, I could use a workout before I get him like a fish, Laura said with a growl. Naruto heard laughter in his head. I like her, Kurama said. Naruto's sweat dropped, as he thought back a reply. Of course you do. Oh please, like her being a warrior isn't a turn-on for you, Kurama thought as he knew what Naruto likes in a woman. Warrior? She's an animal on the hunt, Naruto thought, as that was more what Laura was. Even better, she's probably a hellcat in the sack, Kurama quipped as he laughed at Naruto's reaction, which was to blush up a storm. Laura then looked at Naruto. Did you kill Striker? She asked as she had been looking for him ever since she got free. Yeah, I killed that asshole, Naruto said. No shame in what he did. Then I owe you twice now. You freed me from Loki and Striker, so until my debt is paid, I will stay with you, Laura said, sounding determined. Oh, Kinky, Will said with a smile, as she came into the room. You do realize we should probably get an actual place, if Laura is gonna be a new roommate? She asked him. Focus, Will, how did it go with Hulk? Naruto asked her. Loki threw his minions at Hulk to cover his escape, which Hulk wasn't happy about, so he took off to New York, Will said. Cowardly god, Laura said, growling. Sounds like the big guy. I told him to get Loki, so now he's determined to get him, Naruto said as he shook his head. Coulson tried to help Hulk, and Loki killed him, Will said sadly, with her head down. If Hulk doesn't kill him, I'm gonna now, Naruto said with anger in his voice. Save it for Loki's army. Let's go, Steve said as he poked his head into the room. Lead the way, Naruto said as he stood up. Is she okay to help? Thor asked, looking at Laura. Just point me at the enemy, and stay out of my way, Laura said, extending her claws. Great, the team could use a crazy one, Tony said sarcastically. Hopefully the ones Stan called are already at Stark Tower, Will said, as they got on a Quinjet and saw Clint in the pilot's seat. Top of Stark Tower, you guys got called too? Logan asked, as he saw the Fantastic Four on a rooftop across from Stark Tower. Yeah, someone called, Stan said. Naruto needed us here for an Omega-level threat, Reed said. Well, the more the merrier, Ben said, looking at the X-Men that showed up, which were Logan, Jean, Scott, Storm, Gambit, Rogue and Kurt. You guys got called too? Jennifer's voice called out as she landed, carrying Jessica, Colleen and Emma. Put me down, you jade Amazon. Jessica yelled. Stop being a problem, we have work to do, Colleen said, rolling her eyes at Jessica. What the hell are you doing here? Rogue asked, seeing Emma. I am here because my friend's Naruto and Will asked me to be here, and I wish to start to make up for the things I have done in the past, Emma said, bowing her head slightly. Rogue looked at Jean, who nodded at her, confirming that it was the truth. Fine, anyone know what is going on? Rogue asked. From what that Stan guy said, someone is on top of Stark's tower trying to use some alien item to summon an alien army to conquer Earth, Susan said. Great, let's get up there and break it, Rouge said as she grabbed Kurt's shoulder, and him and her disappeared. Wait, don't go alone, Scott yelled, even though they were long gone. With Rogue. Well, that was easy, Rogue said as she and Kurt subdued Dr. Selvig instantly. Now she was approaching the machine with the Tesseract. I think we should wait for the others, Kurt said, as he saw Rogue take off her gloves. Normally I would agree, but this thing is gonna summon an alien army, and if I can absorb some energy from this thing, so it doesn't summon the army, then I will take the risk. Rogue said as she tried to grab the Tesseract. The Tesseract glowed brightly as Rogue absorbed a bunch of energy, and eventually it made a big shockwave and sent Rogue flying from the rooftop. Kurt ran to the edge of the rooftop, and was shocked with what he saw, as behind him, the Tesseract shot a beam of energy into the air and opened a massive portal. With Naruto and the others, shit, Naruto said, as he saw an army of Shitori start to come through the portal. Land this thing now, Will said to Clint, not liking what she saw. On it, Clint said, as they landed on a rooftop which had Naruto and Will's super-powered friends there. Glad that you guys could all make it, Naruto said to all of them. Logan was about to reply, when he saw his clone daughter exit the Quinjet. Long story, old friend, Steve said, as he knew Logan had questions about why Laura was here. He walked over to Logan, where they shook hands in greeting. Good to see ya again, Logan, he said, with Logan nodding as he replied, you too, Cap. What happened to Rogue? Will asked, seeing that Rogue was laying down on the floor of the roof. She tried to grab the Tesseract, and got sent flying off the roof. Thankfully I was able to catch her, Jean said. She was hoping to absorb enough energy from the Tesseract, so it couldn't open the portal, Kurt said, sounding worried. Since the portal's open, that obviously didn't work, Tony replied sarcastically. I don't see you trying to help Suga, Rogue said as she got up, and poked him in the chest, which actually sent him flying back a bit. Whoa, she said in surprise, as she wasn't expecting that to happen. What the heck did the Tesseract do to you, Rouge? Will asked her. I think I may know, Natasha said, as she read a file about something similar happening back in the 90s. One explanation later. Oh well, that's just great, Tony said, as if the Hulk wasn't bad enough. Now we have a teenager with super strength. Watch it, Suga. I'm 20, Rogue said, flying towards him, with a fist cocked back. Naruto was quick to get in the way. As he caught the fist, the force of the punch caused some wind to stir up, but didn't force Naruto back one bit. Great, a Southern Belle teenage Tsunade, Kurama said, laughing loudly. Okay, so you now have flying, strength and durability, Will said. And it looks like your absorbing powers are under control too, Naruto said, as when Rogue struck him with her fist, he didn't feel a drain. Rogue was at first shocked, before she gave a huge whoop of joy as she could now touch other people, without hurting them. Guys, celebrate later, we have company incoming, Johnny said, as a giant space shark was flying towards them, but was then attacked by the Hulk. Okay everyone, keep the aliens from spreading out, Naruto said to all of them. I want all flyers in the air, either covering the ground fighters or defending civilians, Steve said. Will, Thor and Storm, you three get to the portal and light them all up as they come out, Naruto said as he looked at them. Reed, Sue, Johnny and Ben, I want you on the roof trying to close that portal, Steve said as they gave a nod. And the rest of us? Jennifer asked Naruto and Steve. You see an alien, you kill them, Laura said as she unleashed her claws. What she said, Naruto said with a smile at her. The team charged at the aliens, and went to follow their directions from Naruto and Steve. With the X-Men, Jean was telekinetically throwing the Shitori into the air as Scott shot his eye beams at them, killing them, and Gambit threw his grenade cards at them, blowing an arm or a leg off at times. Logan and Laura were cutting through the Shitori, like a hot knife through butter, as they defended some civilians who were running to safety. Rogue was manhandling the enemy, like they were made of tissue paper, to the point that they were starting to run from her, knowing she was too powerful to fight against. Storm was making typhoons and hurricanes attack the giant fish-like creatures, which was very effective as Jessica and Jennifer jumped on them and attacked them. Emma and Colleen were attacking Chitauri that were going after civilians, with Emma using her telepathic powers to give them migraines as Colleen struck them down. Can't you turn to Diamond? Colleen asked as she beheaded a foe, before attacking another one. Yes, but I can't use my psychic powers at the same time, Emma said as she turned to Diamond and struck an alien in the head, with her diamond hand going straight through. With Naruto and Will, these guys just keep coming, Will said, as she zipped around blasting them with lightning, and giving some a punch or a kick that was enhanced with lightning. Well, they can't fight worth a damn, Naruto said as he slashed with a kunai. Yeah, but the numbers are pretty big, Steve said as he blocked and bashed an alien. Don't give up yet, my friends. We shall win this battle yet, Thor yelled, as he smashed his hammer into several foes. Naruto gave a nod, as he put his kunai away before transforming his arms into swords as he slashed and stabbed at any that came near him. Hulk suddenly landed, holding a battered and bruised Loki in his hands. Well, if it isn't the false god, Naruto said as he pointed a blade at Loki. I should kill you, but I'll let Thor take you home instead, since I figure Odin will have a more fitting punishment for you. Which you will hate more, Naruto? Reed's voice called out, over the calm in his ear. Any luck with that damn portal? Naruto asked him. We need Loki's staff to close it, Reed said. On it, Natasha said, grabbing the staff and grabbing a ride with Will following, to make sure she got to the roof safely. Naruto! Fury's voice yelled out over the calm. What is it, Nick? Naruto asked, as he ducked under a blast from a Chitauri, before blasting it in the chest with his arm as a cannon. We have a nuclear missile incoming. Fury yelled. You've got to be kidding me, Naruto said, with his eyes wide in shock. No, it will be there in minutes, Fury yelled. Naruto swore under his breath, before he took off and flew towards the missile. As Naruto flew, he saw the missile and grabbed it, then he started guiding it towards the open portal. I'm sorry, Will, Naruto thought, as he and the missile disappeared through the portal. As it closed shut, Will saw what Naruto did, and fell to her knees in sadness. But suddenly a small portal opened, with a note appearing. Will grabbed it and read it. Naruto will be back within 2 weeks' time. Keep an eye out for UFOs in Africa, signed a friend. Whoever this friend is, they know way too much, Will said, as she dried her tears with her forearm. 12 hours later, with Naruto. Naruto woke up and saw he was in a cell. That was nothing but a glass box. Where the hell am I? He wondered out loud. Why are you part of my collection, dear fellow? A man said, as he approached his cell. How did I get here? Naruto asked him, while looking around at his fellow prisoners. You were sold to me, by one of the children of Thanos. He thought you were just a corpse, but obviously you are a much more powerful specimen than even I expected. You may call me the Collector, the man said, as he gave a slight bow of his head as he then left. Welcome to the club, Whiskers, a voice said from a cell nearby, which held what looked like a humanoid duck. Name's Howard the Duck, he said in greeting. So I'm guessing this asshole just collects rare things then? Naruto asked. Asterisk indeed, asterisk, a British voice said in Naruto's head, surprising Naruto, who looked around. Cosmo, you know most people are not used to that. Make yourself known before you do that, Howard said, sighing. It's the dog next door to you, Whiskers. Naruto looked, and saw what looked like a golden Labrador in a spacesuit. Asterisk, forgive me, I sometimes forget that others don't know I can do that, asterisk, the dog telepathically sheepishly told him. Naruto blinked in surprise but smiled as he said, it's okay. Believe it or not, you're not the first psychic I have met. Cosmo perked up at hearing that, as he said, asterisk, really? Where are you from? Asterisk, Earth, and trust me, it has people with all kinds of powers there, Naruto said to him, with a slight smile. Asterisk, you're from Earth too? Asterisk, Cosmo asked happily, his tail wagging quickly. Great, are you gonna talk about how you want to go home and find a family too? Howard asked, since he was bored as he drank a beer. Asterisk, I may be more evolved than other dogs, but I still want to be a family's dog, you overgrown chew toy. Asterisk, Cosmo yelled telepathically at Howard. Well, keep hoping. The Collector hasn't had a piece of his collection escape in years, Howard said, as he finished his beer. Good thing I'm here then, Naruto said. Asterisk, what do you mean? Asterisk, Cosmo asked curiously. I mean, who wants to plan a jailbreak? Naruto asked as he made a Rasengan, which made Cosmo's tail wag in excitement, and Howard to drop his new beer in shock, but he then smirked as he said, blonde. I like the way you think. The Collector was walking around, as he admired his collection of valuable creatures and making sure the locks were all secure on their glass prisons. Naruto was sitting cross-legged, with his eyes closed as he meditated while waiting for the right moment to escape from this place, along with anyone that wanted to go with him. As Naruto meditated, he then sensed some people approaching, and he was able to sense that one of them was powerful and that they were carrying something that was just as powerful. He was also able to sense nature itself as though it was personified and given a sentient form. After a bit of waiting, they saw a group of 4 approach. One was what looked like a human male, one was a green female, that was a shade lighter than She-Hulk, with red hair. The last 2 were the most strange in his opinion, a walking tree man and a raccoon that was walking on its 2 back legs. Naruto smiled as he saw Cosmo growling at Rocket, who just growled back, trying to be just as threatening. Naruto waved at the tree man, who looked at Naruto curiously and a little bit of interest. Since when do you collect regular humanoids, Tivan? The green woman asked, seeing Naruto in his glass prison. This is not a regular humanoid, my dear Gamora, the Collector told her. Looks normal to me, the raccoon said, sounding bored. I am Groot, the tree man said with a smile. What do you mean he has an energy similar to you? The raccoon asked him, sounding shocked. Well, for one, he's actually made friends with some of the other specimens in my collection, Titan said. It's easy to make friends if you're not an asshole, Naruto said, looking at Titan with a hard look. Ha! He's got you there, the raccoon said, laughing. I like you blonde. Focus, Rocket, we are here to get rich, the human male said. I am Groot, Groot said. You want to buy his freedom? Rocket yelled, shocked that Groot wanted to use his cut to do that. Naruto gave a smile, as he said, thanks, buddy. I am Groot, Groot said, giving a smile in return. So what have you brought me? Titan asked, as he rubbed his hands together in anticipation. Show him, Quill, Rocket said, as he gave a nod to the male. Quill held up a metal orb, before he then dropped it, and quickly picked it up, as though nothing had happened. Wow, what a dingus, Howard said as he laughed at Quill's clumsiness. Titan grabbed the metal orb and had his equipment start to scan it, and he soon explained what it was. Oh hell, this thing is more powerful than me, Kurama said to Naruto, actually feeling fear. Yeah, that's my K, Naruto said, as he made a Rasengan and slammed it into his glass cell, freeing himself. What are Titan was asking before Naruto grabbed him by the throat and lifted him into the air. New deal, asshole. You free me, my two friends, and hand over the stone, and I won't cut you to pieces, like you deserve, Naruto said as his eyes glowed with Kurama's chakra. Titan was very nervous, and scared that Naruto would follow through with his threat. Very well, you have a deal. I assume your friends are the dog and duck? He asked as Naruto put him down. Cosmo and Howard, asshole, Naruto said as he grabbed the sealed-up power stone. Hey! We were gonna get paid a fortune for that. Quill said. It can destroy planets with a touch, asshole. It obviously needs to be locked up, with the key thrown away, Naruto said, as he placed it in one of his pockets. He's got a point, Peter, Gamora said with a thoughtful look. Hey Whiskers, tell your friend to stop growling at me, would ya? Rocket said, looking at Cosmo, who was just freed along with Howard, who was stretching his arms and legs out. Cosmo, they are potential friends. Try to not let your instincts control you, Naruto said to him. Very well, Naruto, Cosmos said telepathically so everyone could hear him. Whoa, a telepathic dog? Quill asked, surprised. I can also move things with my mind, and make force fields with my mind, human, Cosmos said to Quill. Guys? Howard said, as he pointed outside as a bunch of ships were approaching, while some green bald man with red lines on him was laughing about finally having his revenge. Who's the meathead? Naruto asked, as he cautiously looked at the ships. That would be Drax, Gamora said, while rubbing her head from the headache she had. That idiot called Ronin. Rocket yelled. I am Groot? Groot asked, with his head tilted. Obviously he's here for the stone, so let's try getting out of here so people don't get hurt in the crossfire, Naruto said, making everyone look at him in shock. You can understand Groot? Rocket asked, not expecting to meet anyone else that could. I'm a sage, plant and animal life like me, he replied with a shrug. Well, let's split up and head for my ship. It's that one, Quill said, pointing out a ship with orange and blue painted on it. Cosmo, Howard, you're with me, Naruto said as he took off and slashed one of Ronin's men as he passed him with a kunai. What can the duck man do? Quill asked, not seeing how useful he'll be. He's a crack shot with any firearm, Cosmo said to him. And I know quack fu, Howard said as he struck a minion of Ronin's in the stomach and took his blaster from him. Sounds stupid, but at least it gets results, Rocket said with a shrug, as he blasted any that were coming at them. Naruto was heading to Quill's ship, and was almost there when he jumped back as a bald blue-skinned woman with cybernetic parts attacked him. If you want a date, there are better ways to ask, Naruto quipped at the woman, as he dodged a punch. Is he really hitting on Nebula of all people? Gamora thought in surprise as her sister never attracted anyone, with how she acts around everyone. Nebula attacked Naruto again, and Naruto caught her fist holding her in place. Hand over the stone, she said with a glare, as she tried to pry her hand from his grip. Sorry, I would usually oblige to a pretty face, but I can't with this, Naruto said to her, with a genuine smile. Nebula glared at Naruto and tackled him into a building. Whiskers got much better game than you, Quill, Rocket said while snickering, as he ran from Ronin's soldiers. I am Groot! Groot yelled, as he dragged Drax with him. Let me go, you mutt! Nebula yelled, as she was being levitated by Cosmo away from Naruto. Very well, Cosmo thought, as he threw Nebula into Ronin himself, and they both went flying into a building. Geez, the dog has some moves, Quill said, sounding impressed. Everyone on the ship! Naruto yelled as they all ran on. Everyone take your seats, put your seatbelts on, and make sure your tray tables and seats are in the upright position. This is gonna get messy, Quill said as they took off. As they flew out of nowhere, Naruto noticed something peculiar. Why are they not following us? He asked out loud. No clue, we have the stone, right? Rocket asked him. Yeah, we should, Naruto said as he patted his pockets but felt nothing. Oh hell, that blue cyborg chick actually got it from me, Naruto said, sounding impressed that she was able to swipe it from him. Great, maybe if you didn't hit on that free show, that wouldn't have happened, Quill yelled at him. I may not know you, but I know a man whore when I see one, so I don't want to hear it from you, Naruto said back in reply. Ha! He's correct, you are a man whore, Drax said laughing at Quill. And you? Why the hell did you call Ronin? Quill yelled in frustration. He killed my wife and daughter. I refused to flee from him. Drax yelled in rage. Naruto grabbed Drax and slammed him to the wall of the ship. If you really loved them, you wouldn't throw yours or your friends' lives away by fighting a fight you can't win, Naruto said, getting in Drax's face. Drax's eyes widened slightly as he realized Naruto was right. As Naruto put him down, suddenly the ship shook, which sent them falling to the ground. What now? Howard groaned in annoyance, as he picked himself off Cosmo. Oh great, Yondu, Quill said as his ship was caught in a tractor beam, as the others got to their feet. Aboard the Ravager's ship. Well, you have quite the crew with you, don't you, boy? The man called Yondu said, as he looked at the crew. Can I ask what this is about? Naruto asked in a bored tone. Well, you see, I was promised a hefty amount of money for the Power Stone, and my boy Quill here stole it before we could, Yondu said quite unhappily. You know we don't steal from each other, boy, he said, getting in Quill's face. Look, Ronin has it now, and he's gonna destroy Xander and the Nova Corp, Gamora said as she tried to get between the two of them. And that's my problem, how? Yondu asked as him and his crew shrugged. You guys mercenaries? Naruto asked, getting an idea as he activated his Rinnegan. That we are, my boy, Yondu said with a proud smile. Then I want to hire you guys to help us try and stop Ronin, Naruto said, as he made a basketball-sized green gem appear in his hand via creation of all things. Yondu whistled, impressed at the size of the gem, and took it to inspect it properly. This is worth a lot, boy, he said as his men smiled. And when the job is done, you get 2 more, Naruto said, making Yondu's men start to chatter with excited grins. My boy, you have got a deal, Yondu said as he struck his hand out, which Naruto took as they shaked hands in agreement. Would this clear Quill's debt to you? Naruto asked him. Yondu looked at Quill and thought about it. Add another gem, and it's a deal, Yondu said as he needed to appease his men. Done, Naruto said, tossing another gem to Yondu's men, where they fought over who got to hold it. Show off, Quill said as Naruto walked over to them. You're welcome, Naruto said as he could tell Quill was grateful for the save. So what's the plan? Naruto asked Gamora, who looked thoughtful, before she told them what she had planned. The next day on Xander, the people of Xander were all enjoying a normal day, when suddenly they saw a massive ship entering into their atmosphere. This caused them all to run and scream in fear, as the Nova Corps ships took off to try and block Ronin's ship from attacking the city. The Ravager's ships suddenly came and started shooting at Ronin's ship when suddenly one of the ships slammed into the bigger ship, entering inside it. With Naruto, I'm working with a bunch of idiots, Naruto grumbled under his breath, as Drax laughed from how great the crash was. Yes, but they grow on you, Howard said with a smile, while carrying a shotgun. Yeah, like mold, Cosmos said, sounding dazed. Let's just get inside and take this jerk out. I need to get back home before my girlfriend gets too worried, Naruto said, as they all went into the ship. Wait, you already have a girlfriend? Quill asked, surprised. Well, 2 actually, Naruto replied, holding up a picture of Will and Jennifer in her transformed state. Well, what a woman, Quill said, looking at Jennifer, but Gamora smacked him upside his head. And you call Quill a man whore? Rocket asked him. Hey, watch it, I don't go after anything with a rack. And it's not just a booty call to me, Naruto said quite crossly to him. Ah, you're an alpha, Drax said with a nod of understanding. So why hit on Nebula? Gamora asked him, curious to know the answer. She looks pretty to me. Plus, she looks like she could use someone that actually cares about her, Naruto replied as he shrugged his shoulders. Hey, I care about her, she's my sister, Gamora said. Suddenly Nebula attacked Gamora in a rage, as she pushed her against the wall. Fuck, you guys go after Ronin while I break up this sibling spat, Naruto said to the others. More likely just to watch it happen, Rocket said, snickering. Just go trash panda. Naruto yelled at Rocket. The fuck you call me? Rocket yelled as Groot dragged him off. Rocket then said, wait, what's a trash panda anyway? Before they turned the corner, Quill's laughter could be heard from around the corner. What's your problem, Nebula? Gamora yelled as she blocked a strike from her sister aimed at her chest. You left to betray Thanos, Nebula yelled at her, as she leapt and brought her leg down at Gamora's head. Why do you care? You hate him even more than me, Gamora replied, as she jumped back from the kick. Because you didn't take me with you, Nebula yelled, as she struck Gamora, who was shocked at her admission. Nebula was about to strike Gamora down, but Naruto grabbed her arms as he stopped her. That's enough, Naruto said, as Nebula struggled in his grip. Stay out of this, Nebula demanded as she struggled. No way, you two are siblings and I'll be damned if I let you two kill each other, Naruto said, as Gamora cautiously walked closer. I had no idea you would want to leave with me, Nebula, Gamora said as she approached her sister and hugged her, making Nebula freeze up. Naruto let go of Nebula's arms, but was ready to grab them again if she tried anything. Nebula's mind was going a mile a minute with emotions that she hasn't felt in years. But eventually she hugged Gamora back, a tear falling from one of her eyes. Naruto smiled seeing this, but suddenly the ship shook, which almost sent them to the floor, before they rebalanced themselves. As great as it is that you two are sisters again, we need to take out Ronin once and for all, Naruto said to them both. They nodded in agreement, before the three of them ran off to where the others and ran off too. Once they arrived at the door to Ronin's room, they saw it was open and that the others were barely making Ronin try to fight them, as he easily sent them flying with the power of the stone in his hammer. Guys, we need to grab that hammer, and keep it away from him, Naruto said to them, as the three ran over. Any help you can provide would be nice then, Rocket yelled back, as he struggled to get up. Naruto approached Ronin and went into Sage mode. Let's do this, you murdering asshole, he said as he charged at Ronin. Cosmo, Howard, Rocket and Groot felt calm and relaxed as soon as Naruto was in Sage mode. You dare strike Ronin the accuser? Ronin demanded as he was sent flying from Naruto. I dare a lot, asshole, Naruto replied as he kicked Ronin into his throne, as he took his hammer from him. Give that back to me, Ronin yelled at him, as he threw off bits and pieces of his throne. You can have this instead, Naruto said, as he made a giant Rasengan and rammed it onto Ronin. Ronin screamed in pain, as he was torn to pieces by the jutsu. Naruto turned back to normal and started breathing heavily, as he'd used up all his Sage chakra in that jutsu, just to make sure it killed Ronin. He was about to fall forward, but surprisingly Nebula caught him, so he stayed on his feet. Knew you liked me, Naruto huffed with a smile. Idiot, Nebula said as she shook her head, with a small smile on her face. She can smile? Rocket asked, surprised at this turn of events. I am Groot, Groot said, with a pleased look as he placed his hands on his hips. Yeah, being a hero does feel kind of cool, Rocket said, as he nodded in agreement. We should do this more often, Quill said, as he had to admit this felt better than stealing. You guys will need a team name, Naruto said, as Nebula helped him sit down on the steps. Any suggestions would be much appreciated, Gamora said with a shrug. How about the Guardians? Quill suggested with a thoughtful look. Of what? Drax asked him. The galaxy, of course, Howard said, as the whole galaxy needed a hero at some point or other. Guardians of the Galaxy. I like it, Quill said with a smile and a nod. Well then, Guardians of the Galaxy, looks like you just took down your first bad guy, Naruto said as he gave them a smile. First, let's get that stone to the Nova Corps, Gamora said, as she wanted that in a very much safe and very much secure location. Next day. Wow, nice ship, Naruto said as he looked at the ship the Nova Corps gave him so he could get home. So who's coming with me? Naruto asked them. Cosmo walked over to Naruto and sat next to him. Howard? Naruto asked, looking at his friend. Thanks, buddy. But I think I will be a guardian, Howard said with a shrug, as he walked over to them. No problem, Howard. But here, take this, Naruto said, throwing him a Hiraishin kunai. Thanks, bro. Stay out of trouble, Howard said as he caught the kunai, knowing what it could do. Naruto and Cosmo boarded the ship and were surprised when Nebula was seen in the pilot's seat, with her feet propped up on the controls. You aren't getting rid of me that easily, Nebula said, looking at Naruto with a slight grin. I figured you would prefer going with your sister, Naruto said with a shrug, as he sat in the co-pilot's seat. Me and her can stay in contact. Besides, she told me to do what makes me happy, Nebula said as she took her feet off the controls. And being with me makes you happy? Naruto asked with a smile. Idiot, Nebula said, rolling her eyes at him, as she started up the ship. Yeah, but I'm your idiot, Naruto said as he sat next to her. Nebula sputtered in surprise, but composed herself and drove the ship towards Earth. Humans are weird, Cosmo said to himself as he watched this, before he laid down to get some rest. Half a day later, man, it's good to see Earth again, Naruto said as they approached the planet, with Naruto looking at it fondly. Why is there a building on that moon? Nebula asked him, while pointing it out. There's a what now? Naruto asked, as he looked over in surprise. Suddenly the alarms went off, as a laser was shot at them from the moon hitting the ship. Oh, come on! I just got this thing, Naruto yelled as the ship started to fall to Earth. Naruto could see that they were falling towards somewhere in Africa. Hope this helps cushion the crash, Naruto thought as he made a chakra cloak around the ship, as they crashed into something and they all blacked out. The moon. Why did you fire on them? A woman with long floating red hair asked a man sitting on a throne. The man signed with his hands. Their ship noticed our home. I couldn't take the risk of them telling people on Earth. She gave a sigh, as she said, I wish we didn't have to hide from Earth. The man nodded in agreement, as he sighed. Your Majesty, they survived the crash, a man who had hooved feet said as he entered the room. Then send someone to bring them here, the woman said. Miss Crystal already took Lockjaw to go find them, the hooved man said. The silent man sighed in exhaustion as he knew Crystal was fascinated with Earth, and how she'd sometimes venture there, and was most likely using this as an excuse to go to Earth. Keep an eye on her, just in case she gets into trouble, the woman said to the hooved man. He bowed his head, as he replied, of course, Queen Medusa. With Naruto and the others. Ow, what hit me? Naruto asked as he woke up and saw he was in a very high-tech cell, along with Nebula and Cosmo. He looked at his hands and feet, noticing they were chained together and that the others were the same. Oh great, I just got home and I'm already a prisoner. So you are from Earth? A female voice asked over an intercom. Naruto looked around, as he said, I hope that I'm not just hearing a pretty voice, and that you're real. A male voice was heard laughing, but was then replaced with a sound that sounded like someone being hit on the arm. Quiet, brother, the female voice said in clear embarrassment. If I'm gonna be interrogated, I would like to at least see you, Naruto said. Very well, the female voice said as a holographic window appeared in the cell, showing an African woman around Naruto's age, and an African man a few years older. Wow, your voice didn't prepare me for your beauty, Naruto said, with a smile. This made the woman blush, as the man was silently laughing and trying not to show it. Wait, I recognize you. Aren't you Sage from the Battle of New York? The woman asked him. He gave a bow of his head, as he replied, guilty as charged, my dear. At least now Guardian will calm the hell down now. She's been looking for you ever since you disappeared. With that nuke, the man said, with his arms behind his back. Man, Will is gonna kill me, Naruto said, knowing how she was. Most likely, the woman said, smiling, as she saw from her research that Will was a hothead, with quite a temper to boot. Can I ask your names? Naruto asked as he was curious about their names, as I don't really want to call you just Miss Beautiful, and Mr. Brother with a death wish. This made the woman blush even more, at being called beautiful, as the man finally lost it as he held his sides as he laughed at his sister's reaction. He didn't mind what Naruto said about him, as he was okay with it. Brother, I swear I'm gonna kill you, the woman said, glaring at the man. He eventually got his laughter under control, as he gave a grin while saying, I'm Prince Chala and this is my sister Shuri, the man said in greeting. Ah, princess, that explains the beauty, Naruto said with a smile, making her blush some more. Keep it up and she may want to keep you all to herself, Chala said with a smile. As tempting as that is, I need to get home, so what do you need? Naruto asked them. Sadly, my father, the king, wants to talk to you, Chala said. No problem. I'm more than happy to answer some questions from your king, since I'm guessing we crashed in your land, right? Naruto asked them. They both gave a nod at that, which caused Naruto to let out a sigh. Well, let's do this, Naruto said, as he held up his now free hands, surprising the siblings. Wait there, and we will send an escort, Shuri said. And I thought the beautiful princess would be my escort, Naruto said with a grin, as he was having fun teasing her, and the look on Chala's face said he was enjoying it too, as he laughed again but was then slugged in the gut by Shuri as the screen went black. Is this normal on Earth? Nebula asked him, as she'd been awake the entire time but was pretending to be knocked out. With me, most likely, Naruto said as he sat with Nebula to wait. So you hit on all women that you meet? Nebula asked him with a raised eyebrow. Nah, they have to have something special about them to get my attention, Naruto said as he gave her a sidelong look. Oh really? And what makes me special? Nebula asked as she scooted closer to Naruto. Naruto gave her a shrug, as he said, well, I think that you have a great drive to accomplish whatever you want to do, and making sure that no one gets in your way as you strive to achieve it. Nebula was touched by his words, as she leaned her head on his shoulder. Plus I think your eyes are pretty, Naruto said as an afterthought. This made Nebula blush, as no one else had ever found her eyes to be pretty. She was about to say something, when the cell door opened, showing a bald woman holding what looked like a high-tech spear. I take it that you're the escort? Naruto asked, looking at her. She gave a nod, as she said, yes, the king wishes to see you, and your companions in the throne room, she said, looking at Nebula and Cosmo with wariness. Cosmo sniffed the woman and wagged his tail. I like you, you have a calming aura, he said to her. The woman's eyes slightly widened in surprise, as she didn't think the dog was intelligent or could speak. Well, if Cosmo likes you, you can't be all bad, Naruto said with a smile, as he got up while helping Nebula. Come, the king awaits. My name is Okoye, she said as they left the cell. Man, this place is the most high-tech place I have ever seen, and I have been in the Fantastic Four's tower, Naruto said, impressed, as he looked at everything. Nebula looked around and silently agreed, as she didn't think any human would have tech this advanced. Indeed, Wakanda is the most advanced in the world, and we take pride in our accomplishments, Okoye said, with a proud look and smile. Wakanda? I thought that was a third world nation, Naruto said, as he had heard of it before. His eyes then widened, as he said, unless, wow, you guys have been hiding and letting the world think you have nothing. Okoye laughed, as she said, indeed, I see why the princess is interested in you. You're not stupid or boring at all. Well, if I don't know something, I'll admit it easily. But I am observant at least, and a quick learner if need be, Naruto said as they approached a big door. We are here. Please show respect when you meet the king and queen, as I wouldn't want you sent back to the States in pieces, Okoye said before she opened the door. She's kidding, right? Cosmo asked as Okoye walked by him and petted him as she let them in. Best not to test our luck, so behave, Naruto whispered to them both, as they nodded. They approached the thrones, and saw on the thrones a man and a woman sitting there. Greetings, Naruto Uzumaki. I am King Chaka, and this is my wife Queen Ramonda, the man said to the group. Naruto bowed his head in respect along with Nebula and Cosmo, who followed his lead. It's nice to meet you, your majesties. I'm sorry we crashed into your kingdom unannounced. Your lovely guard Okoye said you had some questions for me, Naruto said. Okoye was blushing at being called lovely, and was doing her best to hide it. The other guards that were dressed the same as her were each trying to contain the smiles and giggles they had. Chaka smiled at Naruto, glad that he showed respect, even if he had power. Yes, I was wondering how your ship was able to break through the barrier around our nation, as usually when something hits it, it's destroyed. I have no idea, your majesty. And speaking of the ship, I hope that it's not too badly damaged, Naruto said. Actually, my daughter Shuri has been examining it, as she's the head of our nation's science department. But to answer your question, it should be fixed within a few days, Chaka said. Beautiful and smart. I like that in a woman, Naruto said, as Shuri blushed, with Chala silently chuckling as his shoulders shook. I may have an idea on how we made it through it, if I may speak, your majesty, Cosmo said, stepping forward. My goodness, a talking dog, Ramonda said, surprised as she didn't know of any dogs on Earth that could do that. Fascinating, Shuri said, walking toward Cosmo to inspect him, as she activated her Kimoyo beads to scan him. What's your theory, mister? Chaka asked, wanting the dog's name. Cosmo, your majesty, he replied, with a slight bow of his head. Cosmo the space dog, it's like a children's book, Ramonda said with a smile, as she found some humor in that. I believe the aura of chakra Naruto used to protect the ship slowed us to pass through your barrier, Cosmo said. That sounds like a plausible idea, Naruto said as he used a great amount of chakra to protect them and the ship. Churka? Chala asked curiously, not at all familiar with the word. Oh, it's what I use that powers my abilities. It's like an energy source all living things have. You just need training and the knowledge to use it, Naruto said to them. Could you possibly teach me how to use it? Chala asked him, eager to learn something new. Well, I could, but I would need to be sure you wouldn't abuse this, as it's a power that can easily be abused, Naruto said in warning. Very wise of you, but since you and your friends know the truth about Wakanda, now we need something to ensure we can trust you to not tell anyone about us, Chaka said as he leaned forward a little. Very true. Look, I can tell you just want to protect your people, am I right? Naruto asked, as he got a nod from Chaka. Then as long as you only pass this knowledge to your most trusted warriors, Then I'm more than willing to tell you in exchange for our freedom to leave and your friendship, Naruto said. Chaka stood up and walked over to Naruto, and said, You are very reasonable for one so young. I accept your terms, as long as you promise not to expose us to the world leaders of the world. Deal, Naruto said with a smile, as he held out his hand showing he had freed himself from his restraints, shocking everyone in the throne room. How did you? Shuri asked before Naruto interrupted her with a cheeky grin. I'm a man of many tricks, my dear princess, Naruto said as he shook hands with Chaka. When can we get our ship back? Nebula asked as she was freed from her restraints along with Cosmo, who shook himself. It should be in working order in 3 days. We would have it ready sooner, but it's new technology even for us, Shuri said, as she walked away from Cosmo after scanning him. 3 days? I'm impressed with your intelligence. If that's all the time you need, Naruto said in an impressed tone, which made Shuri blush at his praise. Flattery will get you far with her, as my sister has an ego the size of Wakanda itself, Chala said with a grin. Until your ship is fixed, you will be our guests here, Romanda said, as she stood up from the throne. Thank you, your majesty. Wait, I can teach some of your warriors the beginning stages of chakra manipulation, and when I leave I will leave notes for you, Naruto said. Fascinating. I have never met a cyborg before, Shuri said as she scanned Nebula, to see what she was made out of and could do. Nebula glared at Shuri, as she was getting too close in her opinion. A wrong subject, princess. She's actually self-conscious about that, Cosmos said, hoping to avoid Nebula killing or wounding the princess. Oh, Shuri said in realization. Please forgive me. I meant no disrespect, miss? She asked, hoping to get an aim. Nebula looked at Naruto, and saw him ask her to please be nice with his eyes. Nebula, she said, in as nice a tone she could manage. Whoever did this to you is a monster. There were plenty of ways to do this to you, without causing pain, Shuri said as she looked at the results on her beads. Nebula smiled hearing that, as she agreed that her father was a monster. You and I will get along fine, princess, Nebula said, as she held out her hand. I could add some nerves to your robot hands, so you could feel again with them if you like, Shuri said, as she shook it. That's possible? Nebula asked, surprised that was even an option for her. Of course, follow me to my lab and we can get you all set up, she said, grabbing Nebula's hand as she led her away. Naruto shook his head, glad that Nebula would be able to feel things again with her hands. He turned to Chala, as he said, while the girls are bonding, me and you can get started with Churka lessons. May I join you? Okoye asked as she approached Naruto. Of course, that way you can teach your fellow warriors, Naruto said as Chala and Okoye left to go train. Interesting, that young man. He not only has the attention of Okoye but Shuri as well, Ramonda said with a smile. Chaka nodded in agreement, as he added, and it's good that Shuri has another girl to talk to that isn't part of the Royal Guard, and with Chala, I think Naruto could help him become a great Black Panther. Excuse me, your majesty, but do you have any food? Cosmo asked as he was hungry. Of course, follow me to the kitchens, Ramonda said with a smile, as she headed off in that direction with Cosmo following her as he wagged his tail. 3 days later. Over the past 3 days, Naruto, Nebula and Cosmo had seen a lot, despite the fact that they couldn't leave the royal palace. Naruto had been able to teach Chala and Okoye chakra, and they were both walking up walls already. They both found this useful, as now they wouldn't have to use the magnetic footwear they sometimes used. Naruto also sparred with Chala and Okoye, and he found them both to be very capable warriors without chakra. Nebula along with Naruto had befriended Shuri over the course of 3 days. With Shuri asking them all kinds of questions, they answered them as best they could, and asked her a few in return, with her answering what wasn't too secret or private. Naruto would also tease her at times, as he enjoyed making her blush. Cosmo was enjoying himself, as he was being pampered like a royal pet. They were now getting ready to leave on the repaired ship. Don't worry, Shuri, we will keep in contact, Naruto said as she was sad to see them leave. Yes, I promise, Nebula said as she patted Shuri's shoulder with her upgraded hand. Yeah, and thanks for all the lovely food too, Cosmo said, as he got onto the ship. Shuri nodded as they got ready to leave, glad that she made some new friends. Okoye soon approached Naruto, as he got ready to board the ship. What's up, you want another spar? Naruto asked her, when suddenly Okoye picked him up by his collar and kissed him, surprising everyone there. Shuri's mouth almost fell off, as she didn't think Okoye would do something like this. Soon Okoye put Naruto down. Keep in touch, she said with a smile at his stunned look on his face, as he nodded dumbly before he climbed the ship's ramp. Nebula shook her head at Naruto, being stunned at this development. Idiot attracts women like bees to honey, she thought with a sigh, as they followed Cosmo onto the ship. I hate you, Shuri grumbled at Okoye as she was still smiling. Too slow, your majesty, Okoye said in a sing-song tone, with a smile. Oh, quit pouting, little sister, he had multiple girlfriends already, Chala told her. Like who? Shuri asked, wanting to know who else was his girlfriend. Chala activated his beads, showing pictures of the woman interested in Naruto. Shuri was surprised at how many there were. I didn't know the Hulk had a cousin, Okoye said in interest, looking at She-Hulk's picture. Maybe I should give Naruto ambassador privileges, Chaka said with his hand on his chin in thought. So he can have multiple wives legally, right? Chala asked with a grin, knowing Okoye and Shuri would like that. Indeed, it would be sad to see them all fight for the right to marry him, Chaka said as he nodded. It's decided, it will be done within a week. Shuri blushed so hard she passed out, with a smile on her face. I'm glad I'm recording this, Chala thought as this was too funny to him. Great blackmail material in the future. With Naruto. Wow, Shuri went all out upgrading the ship, Naruto said as he read a note from Shuri he found. They also found some Kimoyo beads, along with instructions on how to use them and to make sure that none of the Wakandan tech falls into the wrong hands. Armor, a stealth mode and blasters that can destroy anything. If I didn't know any better, I would think the princess is spoiling you, Nebula said with a small smirk, as she read the note over his shoulder. She gave a laugh at seeing the X's and O's at the end of the note. We are near your restaurant in New York, Naruto Cosmos said as he activated the stealth mode with his paw, so they wouldn't scare anyone. God, I hope Will does not freak out when she sees me, Naruto said as he walked down the ramp to jump down to the street in front of the rising tide. Suddenly he was tackled by a blur, which sent him toppling to the ground. Where the fuck have you been? Will yelled as she hugged Naruto as tight as possible. Laura also came out of the restaurant, as she walked over and gave him a hard glare for making them worry. Would you believe in a space adventure and a hidden nation? Naruto asked her, as he rubbed the back of his head after she let him stand back up. Laura gave him a punch in the arm which made him wince, before pulling him into a hug to show she was glad to have him back. Well, the blue hot chick backs up the space part, Will said looking at Nebula, but she then smiled as Cosmo walked over to her. Oh, he's so cute. Will squealed in delight as she knelt down to give him a hug. Thanks, Miss Will. Naruto talked about you often, was Cosmo's reply. Will's eyes widened in surprise as she realized that the dog had telepathic abilities. Well, that explains the space suit on you, Will said, as obviously this dog was from space. Would you believe he's not the weirdest thing I saw in space? Naruto asked her, before he led them all into the restaurant so that he could tell Will everything he'd been up to in space. Oh please, how weird could space get? Will asked him. Would you believe a talking raccoon in Tree Man? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. I stand corrected, Will said in slight surprise. So who's this? Will asked, looking at Nebula curiously. She's a friend I made in space. She decided she wanted to come with me when I got a ship back home, Naruto told her. He swept you off your feet, huh? Will asked Nebula with a smile. Well, actually, I was trying to kill him when we met, Nebula said flatly. Ooh, kinky. I like you already, Will quipped with a laugh at Nebula's small blush. It's great to be home, Naruto thought with a smile, as he really missed this place. A week later, it had been a bit of adjustment getting used to being known as heroes since Naruto got back from space. Naruto had also found out, through Will, that Tony had faced off against some lunatic from his past calling himself the Mandarin and had officially got together with Pepper. He also learned that Steve had joined S.H.I.E.L.D. to help them on missions, and that his old crush Peggy was still alive in an old people's home, with Steve meeting her at times when not on missions. Laura would also stay with them a few times, but she mostly stayed with X-Men so that she could learn a few things from Logan, and she even helped them out with whatever missions came up at times. And right now, Laura was helping the X-Men make sure that no one else was trying to eliminate mutants from the world. So how is it being famous? Will asked Naruto, as he walked into the apartment with groceries with Nebula close behind. The three of them were wearing the Wakandan Kimoyo beads, and they talked to Shuri, Chala and Okoye nearly every day. Will had found Shuri and Okoye to be fun to talk to, and had even given them some tips on how to catch Naruto's attention some more. Who knew helping save New York from aliens would get you swamped by fangirls when you just want food, Naruto said as he put some bags down with Nebula doing the same. Great, just what we need. Will growled as she hated those kinds of girls. Relax, I sent them all running with a glare, Nebula said with a smile in her direction. Thanks to Naruto teaching her how to use chakra, she was able to use the transformation jutsu to look like a normal human. She'd kept her normal eye color, and went for a tan skin tone with long ginger hair that went about past her shoulders. She only used her cyborg form to fight against criminals, thugs and anyone else that actually deserved it. After they'd put all the shopping away, they all then sat down to have some eggs and bacon when suddenly they heard a knock on their front door. Are you expecting anyone? Naruto asked Will as he got up to answer the door. Will shook her head, before she lightly growled out, if it's fangirls again. I swear all she was saying until Nebula interrupted her. It's not fangirls, as thanks to my cybernetic eye I can see through walls, she told them, while looking at the door. Then who is it? Naruto asked her, as he got ready in case of a fight. It's Stark, Nebula said as she recognized him from TV, and from Will and Naruto's description of him. What does he want? Naruto and Will both thought, before Naruto opened the door and saw Stark. What do you need, Stark? He asked him, while leaning on the doorframe. Stark? I am surprised, my friends usually call me Tony, he answered in a joking manner. Since when are we friends? Will asked, sounding bored already. Since we saved New York together, Sparky Tony said as he entered the apartment. Who's the smooth? He asked, looking at Nebula. Nebula glared, and her right arm turned into a blaster made by Shuri, before she pointed it at him. Whoa! Nebula, he's harmless and he's right. We are comrades, at least, Naruto said as he calmed her down. I'm guessing she's a tag along from your trip to space? Tony asked as Nebula put away her blaster. Yeah, her and Cosmo, Will said with a smile as Cosmo entered the room without his space suit on. He gave a yawn, before noticing Tony as he said, who's this supposed to be? Tony Stark, Nebula said with a glare. Iron Man? Cosmo asked as he watched TV, when he wasn't napping. Wow, I have a fan. That's a dog from space, Tony said as he didn't expect that. I wouldn't say fan, Mr. Stark. I just know you are a fellow hero along with Naruto and Will, Cosmo replied, before he went to get the food that Will had placed out for him. Well, after New York, strange things have been popping up all over the place, Tony said as he sat down on the sofa. Define strange? Naruto said curiously. Devil of Hell's Kitchen, man with unbreakable skin, detectives that can put you through a wall, kung fu masters with a glowing hand. Take your pick, Tony said as he pulled up holograms of news reports online. Seems like a hoax to me. Blurry pictures and only criminals as witnesses, Will said with her arms crossed. Yeah, but it's worth looking into, Naruto said. I'm guessing since we live near Harlem and Hell's Kitchen, you want us to take a look around? He then asked Tony. Well, that, and something else, Tony said as he pet Cosmo. What's that? Naruto asked, hoping it was good news. I wanted to help you guys out a bit, since you saved New York from that nuke, so here, Tony said, throwing a key and an envelope at Naruto, who caught them. Naruto opened the envelope, and was surprised at what he saw inside it. You bought us a condo nearby, he yelled, showing it was a deed. Actually, it's the whole building, Tony said with a smile, showing he was glad to catch Naruto off guard. We wanted a bigger place, but geez, Tony, a good whole building in Hell's Kitchen? Naruto asked. Will nodded her head, as she said, it's just not what we were expecting. It will help you guys as a base of operations since it's near Harlem too, Tony said. We would need a car though, Will said, as flying around everywhere would get exhausting. Thought of that. Check the parking space across the street, Sparky, Tony replied, as he had a very proud smirk on his face as he tossed Will a set of keys which she caught. The three of them did as he said, with Naruto and Will dropping their mouths open and widened their eyes in shock. For in the parking lot was a red Jaguar XK8 convertible that could seat about 4 people. You are trying to bribe us to do this street hero investigation, aren't you? Naruto said, turning around as he gave Stark a hard look. Nah, this is a gift to a friend, since I figured 2 Avengers should at least not have to worry about bills for a while, Tony said with a smile as he got up from the couch. Well, thanks, Tony, we really appreciate it, Will said, as he headed for the door. Hey Tony, before you go, how about some pizza at our restaurant downstairs? Think of it as a way to say congratulations on finally getting together with Pepper, Naruto asked. Yeah, I made a small fortune winning that bet with Happy, Will said with a smile. Wait, you and Happy bet how long it would take for me and Pepper to get together? Tony said with a shocked look on his face. Yeah, he lost by a week, Will said, laughing with her arms around her sides. We were gonna buy a car with what she won. But now we can relax a bit, Naruto said, glad that they didn't have to buy a car at least. Let's go eat, so we can go see this place he got you, Nebula said, as she was curious what it looked like. Few hours later, Tony was showing them around the condo, and to say that Naruto and Will were impressed was an understatement. You went all out, didn't you? Naruto asked as he looked out to the back patio rooftop and saw a pool, a hot tub that could hold a dozen people, and a barbecue area. A pool! Will yelled, excited, as she loved swimming almost as much as she loved fighting the bad guys. Wow, you added security for the whole building, Nebula said as her eyes told her what security was in the building. I would appreciate you not trying to hack me, Miss Nebula. A familiar voice said. Stan, is that you? Will asked with a smile, glad to have a familiar AI as part of the security system. Yeah, I saved him from being deleted by Fury. I figured you guys would like him as your AI, but like how Jarvis is for me, Tony said. That jerk tried to delete you? Will asked in outrage. Well, in his defense, he was using all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s systems to look for Naruto after he disappeared. Plus, Fury's bosses were going crazy trying to get Fury to get rid of Stan from the S.H.I.E.L.D. database for some reason, Tony explained to her. Probably some dirty secrets that they didn't want anyone to know, Will said, as she slightly calmed down. Game systems. You rock, Tony, Naruto said with a smile as he saw a PS5, an X Series Xbox and a Nintendo Switch connected to a 4K TV, which also had Netflix and Sky TV. Nerd, Will coughed into her hand, with a smile as she didn't mean it. Ha! You're one to talk, Miss Master of Bayonetta, Naruto said with a smile, as Will played Smash Brothers with him, and she found her inner nerd when she tried out Bayonetta. Bayonetta? I had her pegged more as a Zelda, Tony said. Don't let her fool you, she loves games too, Naruto said with a smile as he hugged Will with one arm. Well, go nuts, I left money in your account, which should last you for a good while. I gotta go to dinner with Pepper, Tony said. We better get a wedding invite, Will said with a smile, as she then added, and I hope that I'm a bridesmaid. Tony froze and looked back at Will. You're exhausting, Sparky, Tony said as he left, while shaking his head. He's not so bad, Nebula said. Indeed, Cosmos said as he sniffed around the condo. Well, let's go patrol and get started on finding this devil of Hell's Kitchen and find out what her story is, Will said, making air quotes. If we split up, we should be able to find something a lot quicker, Nebula said. Good idea, I'll take the south side, Will takes the north, Nebula and Cosmo you take the west and east side, Naruto said, as he used the seal to switch to his hero outfit along with Will, Nebula and Cosmo. I will keep our minds connected, so we stay in contact, Cosmo said to them. Good idea, good boy, Will said as she pet Cosmo, who gave a happy whine at the affection. This also stops anyone from intercepting our communications, Nebula said. When we find this devil, we call the others and we observe, until we get an idea on what's going on, Naruto said as the others nodded in agreement, as they all took off across rooftops thanks to their chakra training. Hours later at night, Naruto was watching some thugs try to bully an old woman, and he hated seeing this. Hero time, he thought, as the devil of Hell's Kitchen could wait. Naruto dropped in front of the old woman, blocking the two thugs from her. Shit, it's Sage! One of the thugs said in surprise. Great, don't you have a city to destroy? The other thug asked, sounding pissed. Naruto grabbed him by the face, before saying, I don't take criticism from assholes that pick on the helpless, he said, as he slammed him into a wall, knocking him out. Naruto turned to the other thug. You want some too, or are you gonna give up? He asked the guy. The thug put his hands up. I surrender. I'm heading to Harlem where it's safe, he said as he ran off. Naruto turned to the old woman. You okay, ma'am? He asked as he gave a friendly smile, hoping to put her at ease. Thank you, those hooligans were trying to intimidate me into moving out of my apartment, she told him. Race issue? Naruto asked as he noted the old woman was Latina. No, some developers are trying to buy the building. A rent from this was their latest attempt to make me accept their offer to buy me out, the old woman said. This could get ugly if it continues, Naruto thought, not liking this at all. You gonna be okay? He asked her. I'll be fine, dear. Now go help more people, the old woman said with a smile, and may God bless you for your kindness. Naruto pulled out a kunai and handed it to the old woman. If they try anything else, please stab this into the wall or floor and I will be there instantly, he said. Thank you, the old woman said with a smile, as Naruto nodded as he took off again. Need to look into that developer, Naruto thought, as he jumped roof to roof continuing his search. Naruto, Nebula's voice called out in his mind. I may have found this devil, but I'm not sure, she said. Okay, whereabouts are you now? He then asked her, before she told him. Half-hour later on a rooftop. Geez, this guy doesn't play around, Will said as they observed a man dressed all in black, and a woman interrogating a man, and the woman was following his instructions on how to cause pain without killing the man. He's obviously been well trained in how to do this, Nebula said. I figured torture, screamed Devil. That's why I called the rest of you. This man is determined, from what I can read of his mind from here, Cosmos said, as he read what the man was doing. The man in black suddenly pushed the criminal he was interrogating off the roof, and the man fell into the garbage dumpster below. Geez, Will said, slightly intimidated as that was a cold move. He's alive, but will probably be knocked out for a while, Nebula said as she scanned the man from afar. The man in black spoke with the woman for a bit, before he took off. Let's follow for now, and see what he's doing, Naruto said, as the others nodded in agreement and followed at a safe distance. They soon arrived at a building, where the masked man sneaked in. Great, no visual, Will said as she threw her hands up. I can see what's going on, Nebula said. After a moment or two she turned to the others, and said, you need to see this, Nebula said as she made a projected image of what she saw. Oh my god, he's fighting a dozen men on his own and he's hurt as well, Will said as she covers her mouth in shock. Why would this man go so far? Cosmo asked, as he watched the projection. This guy is good, Naruto said, as he even heard he was reacting and using his environment like a true ninja. They watched the projection as the man entered another room with a young boy, who was scared. Cosmo suddenly growled as his hair stood up. Whoa, what's wrong, boy? Will asked him, wondering what set Cosmo off. I read the devil's thoughts from here. Those men were gonna sell the boy to a slave ring, Cosmo said as he growled in anger as he showed his teeth. They were all silent as the projection from Nebula ended. This guy is a hero, no question, Will said, sounding like she couldn't be convinced otherwise. The others gave a nod of agreement, as only a hero would go this far. They watched as the man in black carried the boy out of the building. He's on the brink of collapse, Cosmos said, looking at Naruto. That's our cue then, Naruto said, as he could heal him easily. Great, let's go meet this daredevil, Will said as she grew her wings, and took off. Daredevil, huh? Not a bad name, Naruto said as he liked it. I like it, Nebula said, as it was a name that could scare criminals everywhere. The man in black had just left the boy with a police officer, and sat down to rest and get some strength back in an alleyway, when he looked towards Naruto and the others sharply. Who's there? He yelled, as he shakily stood up. Wow, his senses are good, Will said as she barely touched the ground, before he reacted. Relax, we are allies. Do Sage and Guardian ring a bell? Naruto asked, as they slowly approached the man. The man slightly relaxed, but not by much. What do you want? He asked them. Well, for starters, to heal you, you need medical care, and that was before your fight in that hallway, Cosmos said as he approached the man. Is that a dog in my head? The man asked in shocked surprise. Indeed, Mr. Murdoch, Cosmos said, as he sat down. Stay out of my mind. The man yelled, clearly upset. Relax, only we can hear him, Naruto said, as he tried to calm the man down. Who else is with you? The man asked, as he was curious who else was there. You may call me Nebula, though the papers call me the Blue Warrior, Nebula said with a scoff. He couldn't recognize her. When there were pictures of Nebula in the news, Naruto thought as he suddenly realized something. You're blind, aren't you? He asked with realization in his tone. Okay, you're way more of a badass now, Will said as she found that to be amazing. Here, let me heal you, Mr. Devil, Naruto said, trying to be friendly. Fine, if you can do it then go ahead. But please don't call me that, the man said in a clipped tone. Would you prefer Matt? Cosmo asked, trying to sound friendly. The man looked at Cosmo's location with a hard look. Apologies, Cosmo said as his ears went down. Half an hour later on a rooftop. So, you are both a vigilante and a lawyer, Naruto said as Matt nodded. You and Jennifer should start a union, Will said with a smile, as she could just see how helpful that would be to people. She-Hulk. Heard she was a good defense attorney, Matt said, nodding his head. Though with your abilities to tell if someone is lying, you may give her a run for her money with finding good clients, Naruto said. Matt chuckled as he couldn't deny that. Thanks for your help healing me, he said as he felt much better. Anytime we are neighbors after all, us heroes should have each other's back, Naruto said. So, you are choosing Hell's Kitchen as your territory? Matt asked him. Well, that and Harlem for now, but all of New York is under our protection, Will said, so feel free to ask us for help anytime you might need it. What he needs is an actual hero suit, Nebula said, as what Matt was wearing was completely unsuited for this kind of thing. We are not all Tony Stark, Matt said with a sigh. Give us a week, We can help you out with that, Naruto said. Yeah, and you can trust us to keep your identity a secret, Will said to Matt. Very well, any suggestions for a theme and name? Matt asked them, as he was open for any ideas. Will smiled as she already had the perfect name. 2 weeks later, looks like the Devil of Hell's Kitchen got an upgrade, Tony said over the phone, calling Naruto as he figured that was Naruto's doing. As this new hero had a new suit and equipment all red, and he actually went with the devil motif in full force. He prefers the name Daredevil, Naruto said, as he was making some lunch. Cool name. You see him as Avenger material? Tony asked. Naruto gave it some thought, before he said probably as a reserve member. Yeah, he prefers to help the little guy, Will said with a smile, as she helped Naruto. I can see that, he did good with that Fisk asshole, Tony said. Yeah, he's lucky I didn't get to him first, Naruto growled as the old lady would have died from some junkie because of him, if Naruto hadn't given her his kunai. Anyway, I have a report about that detective with a mean streak. It's your friend Miss Jones, Tony said, which made them look at each other in surprise. Jessica has powers? Will asked, surprised. Yeah, and she's hellbent on hunting a guy down called Kilgrave, Tony said. Why? Naruto asked, as he felt there was more to this than meets the eye. I'm sending his file to your security screen, Tony said, sounding sad. Naruto looked at his security screen, and started reading along with Will. As they read the file, Naruto's eyes silted and he grew claws from his silent anger, and the power started going on and off from Will's anger. I am gonna kill him! Will yelled in rage, as Kilgrave had done the unspeakable to one of her best friends. Get in line, Naruto growled out. Naruto, Will don't do anything, Tony was saying until he was interrupted. Stay out of this, Tony, Naruto said in a tone of voice that promised pain if he tried to stop them, before he then hung up the phone. What's wrong? Cosmo asked as he entered the room, as he could sense that they were furious about something. Remember our friend Jessica? Will asked, trying to stay calm but failing. Read that, and you will see why she's the way she is, Naruto said, pointing at the monitor with Kilgrave's picture and information. Cosmo read the file, and started growling. When do we start hunting this man down to bring in? Cosmo asked them. He's not a man, he's an animal, and those get put down for good, Naruto said as he, Will and Cosmo suited up. Docks near the train station. Kilgrave was running, while a bunch of his puppets were slowing Jessica's pursuit of him down. He was almost at his yacht, when 3 figures blocked his path. After getting over his shock, he noticed that 2 of them were Naruto and Will, which caused him to give an evil manic grin. I order you two to, he was saying before Will slugged him in the jaw, which broke his jaw and sent tears to the floor when he landed on the ground. He nursed his jaw, before looking up at them with rage in his eyes and on his face. I demand that he tried to sputter out before Naruto stabbed him in the shoulder. If you want to live a moment longer, I suggest you shut the hell up, or I may just let our friend Cosmo rip your brain in half with his mind, Naruto said while glaring down at Kilgrave. Kilgrave looked at Cosmo, who was growling and baring his teeth at him. Give me an excuse, asshole, Cosmo said, with rage clearly heard in his voice. Kilgrave looked at them, before he was grabbed by the neck by Jessica from behind. This ends now, Jessica said, hatred in her voice. Before she could snap his neck, Naruto grabbed her hand, stopping her. Stay out of this. Jessica yelled at him. No, I refuse to let you become a murderer like him, Naruto said to her, as she struggled to get out of his grip. Yes, plus we have a much better idea, Will said with an evil grin, which unnerved Kilgrave. Naruto grabbed Kilgrave, and put a seal on him as he passed out. So what, the bastard sleeps forever? Jessica demanded to know. Worse, he is gonna be tortured mentally by his victims, until I remove the seal, which I'm not ever gonna do, Naruto said. Jessica looked at Naruto in shock. Damn whiskers, I didn't know you had such a mean streak, she said. He hurt you, he deserves worse, Will said, as she kicked Kilgrave hard in the stomach. You are done putting yourself through hell, at least alone, Naruto said as he grabbed Jessica's hand. I don't need your pity, Whiskers, she said, as she took her hand away from him. It's not pity, Jessica, you're our friend, that's all I need to know to help you, Naruto told her. Jessica started to cry a little hearing this. Damn it, Whiskers, she said as she hugged him, while crying her eyes out. We have plenty of room in our building, Jessica. You don't need to be alone anymore. Otherwise this bastard still wins, Will said as she kicked Kilgrave again, this time in the nuts. Will, he can't feel that, Naruto said. Yeah, I know, but it makes me feel just a little better, she said, as she gave him a shrug. He's lucky I don't stomp his head in two. Let's drop his sorry ass with shield, so that they can figure out how his powers hopefully work, Naruto said. No way, I don't trust Shield. Let's take some blood, and dump him off at a nut house, Will said. Geez, Red, that's cold, even for you, Jessica said as she looked at Will, while still hugging Naruto. You gonna let him go soon? Will asked her, with a raised eyebrow along with an annoying look. Nope, Jessica said with the first real smile she's had in years. Humans are weird, Cosmo said, as he just finished peeing on Kilgrave's head. So you guys do have a psychic dog? I thought that was a tabloid rumor, Jessica said as she patted him on the head and scratched him behind the ears. Good boy, Naruto said before they picked up Kilgrave and walked off to drop him off at a nut house. A week later, it had been a week since Jessica had moved into Naruto's building, and he had set up a floor for her to reopen her detective agency. And now she had more clients coming in since she was associated with Naruto and Will. Right now, they were doing research into what was currently going on in Harlem, since right now it was practically a war zone with the crime boss Cottonmouth trying to get rid of Luke Cage. Man, Luke is making him go crazy, huh? Will said, as she liked Luke's style of just getting things done. If he keeps this up, he's gonna make Cottonmouth hurt civilians, just to get to Luke, Naruto said as he didn't want that to happen. The others gave a nod, as they hoped nothing like that would happen either. The problem is, the corrupt cops in Harlem and that this guy can hide his activities, Nebula said with an unhappy look. I propose that we'll hack the records of this Cottonmouth, and leak it all online anonymously, Cosmos said, with the others liking the sound of it. Ha! See him recover from that, Will said with a smile. That would expose the corrupt cops too, Naruto said, loving this idea more and more. I bet he keeps his information in his nightclub, Will said as this guy sounded overconfident, thinking he was untouchable. Naruto nodded, as that sounded plausible. I'm gonna assume a stealth mission? Nebula asked as she was good with stealth. Yup, you and will sneak into his office and grab all his info. Meanwhile I confront him giving you an opening, Naruto said, with the girls nodding in agreement. And me? Cosmo asked with curiosity in his voice. You come with me. I may need information that's only found in his head, Naruto said. Let's go clean up Harlem, Will said with a grin, as they took off to Harlem from the patio. Cottonmouth's club. A boss, you have a visitor. A worker of the club said to Cornell Stokes, also known as Cottonmouth. Is it Cage again? Stokes asked, sounding pissed. No, it's actually the guy was saying, before he was shoved out of the way by Naruto. It's way worse, asshole, Naruto's voice called out, as he entered the room with Cosmo following. I'm Mr. Uzumaki, or do you prefer Sage? Stokes asked, trying to sound friendly like a legitimate businessman. Save it for your corrupt cop friend, Stokes. You can't fool me, Naruto said as he poured a drink at the bar. Stokes' smile disappeared, as he didn't like the idea of an actual Avenger being in his club, let alone his office upstairs, helping themselves to his drinks. And what proof do you have? Stokes asked, sounding both angry and slightly worried. Well, for one, I read your mind and I know everything now, Cosmo said, making Stokes and his men jump in shock at hearing the dog talking. I suppose the space dog stuff is true then, Stokes said, sounding calm despite what Cosmo said. A dog's testimony won't be worth much to the judge's boss, one of Stokes' men said, as he gave a laugh. Very true, and that would be a problem if I wasn't a distraction, Naruto said with a grin as he took a drink. A distraction? Stokes asked as they then heard a voice call out, all done, and Will floated down from his office with a victorious smirk, as she landed next to Naruto, who offered her a drink he just poured. What did you do, bitch? Stokes yelled, upset. Will took a sip of the drink, before she replied, Oh, nothing much really, just asked your computer to post all your secrets online, she said. Why you what? Stokes asked them, as he wasn't getting it. Interesting tidbit about Guardian here, she can bring electronics to life, and whenever she does, they are always friendly, and are willing to do favors for her, Naruto said with a smile, as he drank some more from his glass with Will doing the same. A boss? One of Stokes' thugs said as he held up his phone, showing the breaking news on every news site. You leaked everything? Stokes asked in total shock. Yup, even your list of corrupt cops and politicians, Cosmos said as he yawned, as this was boring to him. There's no escape from this, Stokes, so you have two choices. You come in quietly or we take you in the fun way, Naruto said as he finished his drink, with Will not far behind him. Please pick the fun way, as it's fun for us, Will said, sparks forming in her hand. You are dead. Stokes yelled as he pulled a gun, but soon dropped it as a kunai went through his wrist, cutting off his hand. Aergrig! He screamed in pain, as he grabbed his wrist. Anyone else want to be stupid? Will asked, looking at the thugs who dropped their guns, before raising their hands in surrender. Good, now sleep, Cosmo said, giving a mental command, with his powers to which made the thugs fall to the floor asleep. Suddenly, the doors busted down with a black woman, and a dozen police officers came in holding their guns at the ready. Ah, Nebula got you guys here just in time, Naruto said with a pleased smile. Yeah, we were just wrapping this up, Will said, as she shoved Cottonmouth over to them. My boss won't like that you took his hand, Sage, the woman said, as one of the other officers wrapped it up with a cloth, to try and stop the bleeding. Miss Knight, he pulled a gun on us. He's lucky I didn't shove a raisin gun in his gut, Naruto said with his arms crossed. The cops there shivered hearing that, as they saw the news footage of that attack from the Battle of New York. Touché, Misty Knight said with a smirk, as she was glad Stokes and his cousin Maria were pretty much done. Glad we could help. Now if you excuse us, we have one last piece of business to attend to, Naruto said as they left Pop's barber shop. Well, I'll be damned, Luke said, as he was watching the news with his friend Danny, and they saw that Stokes and Maria were going to jail along with everyone they had paid off. Wow, those guys get a lot done quickly, Danny said with a smile, as he was glad the gang violence would hopefully calm down now. They heard the front door ring, and when they looked they saw Naruto enter the barber shop. Luke Cage and Danny Rand? Naruto asked them. That's us, Luke said with Danny giving a nod of his head. Naruto looked at the TV. Oh good, you know, he said with a smile. Oh, we definitely know, Danny said with a smile. Why are you here? Luke asked, as he wanted to know why an Avenger got involved with this. I saw that things were reaching a boiling point, and decided to lend a hand, he explained with a shrug of his shoulders. Cottonmouth's men will still be out there, Luke said, thinking of Shades, as Danny nodded in agreement. And that's why Harlem still needs you guys. Just know, you can ask me for help anytime, Naruto said as he handed Luke a business card. The Rising Tide? Luke asked, reading the business card. That's our restaurant, feel free to drop by any time. First meal is free, Naruto said as he left the barber shop. Luke smiled, as he put away the business card for now, glad that they had an ally that could help if things get messy. Naruto and Will were serving a few people some food and drinks, with some help from Nebula, who was using a hollow watch provided by Tony, while some kids were petting Cosmo, who was eagerly wagging his tail at the affection he was getting. Okay kids, your ice cream is ready, Will said with a smile, as she brought out some sundaes. Thanks, Miss Guardian, the kids said together, while giving her wide grins. Will smiled, and gave them their ice cream as they heard the doorbell go off. Welcome, how may I? Oh damn it, Naruto said, seeing it was some Italian guys in suits. Great, now that Cottonmouth is locked up, we have the mob bugging us, Will said, sounding bored, as she crossed her arms over her chest. Look, before you idiots start, you do realize who we are, right? Nebula said, with a raised eyebrow. Yes, we are well aware. We are also capable of suing if you try anything, Space Bitch, one of the goons said, with a savage grin as he cracked his knuckles. Naruto chuckled at this. Well, at least your boss trained you to think a bit before you start throwing punches, he said while leaning against the counter. Doesn't mean shit though, so you have two choices. You leave now, or Nebula here shows you what a space bitch can do to idiots like you, Will said. And risk the kids getting hurt? A goon said with a smirk. Cosmo started to growl, as his hair stood up and he made a dozen knives from the kitchen float in front of him, aimed at the goons. Boss, you didn't mention a psychic dog, one of the goons said, with his eyes wide in fear. Nebula grabbed one of them, and snapped his arm with a fluid move. Cosmo barked loudly, and a wave of psychic power was sent at the other two goons, sending them out the window, shattering the glass and onto a police car that was just driving past outside. Well, that was sad, Will said flatly, as the cops got out of their car, and arrested the mob goons along with the one Nebula dragged outside and threw to them. That was so cool, one of the kids said with wide eyes. Thanks, Mr. Dog, for protecting us, said one of the kids, while patting Cosmo on the head, who closed his eyes in joy, with his tail giving a small wag at the affection. You think I could do what you did in the future, when I get older? A young girl asked Nebula, while looking up at her in awe. She gave a small shrug, saying I don't see why not. She then kneeled down, as she added, but if you do, make sure that you learn it for the right reasons and to help those that need help. Okay? Okay, miss, the kid said while nodding her head. Nebula gave her a smile as she patted the girl's shoulder, before she stood back up and walked off to clean the unoccupied tables. Naruto walked over to her, and said, good to see you adjusting to life on Earth, Nebula, and it was very nice of you to say what you did to that little girl. Nebula just shrugged her shoulders, saying thanks, as it was a bit difficult at first getting used to this planet, but I think it's an okay place, and I just wanted her to use what she might learn in the future to be for the right reasons, instead of turning out how I started at first, as she finished with a frown. Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder in comfort, as she'd explained to Naruto and Will about what her adoptive father Thanos had done to her and her sister Gamora, and this made the two of them very angry that such a man would do something to two young girls. They'd both vowed that if they ever saw Thanos, they were going to make him pay 1,000-fold. Nebula gave him a nod of thanks, before they and Will continued working until it was time to close up. Once they'd closed up, and had something to eat themselves, they then went out on patrol to see what New York had to offer them that night. We should try and find those ninjas Tony heard about, Will said as she and Naruto flew, while Nebula jumped the rooftops with Cosmo flying thanks to his telekinesis. Where do you think we should start looking? 'Cause I don't think we're just gonna find them? Naruto asked her. We could ask Murdoch, see if he's heard anything, Nebula said with a shrug. Good idea, that guy screams ninja, Naruto said with a nod. I will lead the way. I can feel where his mind is, Cosmo said as he flew off in the direction he sensed Matt's mind, while the others followed him. When they found him, they saw him chained up on a rooftop talking to another man who wore a black jacket and shirt along with brown pants. Cosmo read his mind, and whimpered slightly. What's wrong, buddy? Naruto asked, as they floated above them. This man is dangerous, Cosmo said worriedly. How dangerous we talkin'? Nebula asked, as she reached for her stun batons. Cosmo's eyes glowed, as he showed them the man's past, and his thoughts. Oh my God, Will said, as her hands went to her mouth in shock. This man is very dangerous. He thinks he has nothing left to lose, and that makes him very dangerous, Nebula said with narrowed eyes. What's he doing to Matt? Naruto asked Cosmo, as he cautiously watched the two of them. He wants to prove a point, that he's too weak to finish the job, Cosmo said. Naruto then said, come on, let's go and help Matt, before he flew over to the two of them, with the girls and Cosmo following. When they got close enough, Matt and the other guy looked in their direction. Who the hell are you guys? The guy wearing the jacket asked, as he stood up from sitting on a pile of bricks. Seriously? What, have you been living under a rock or something? Will asked him with a raised eyebrow. Or something red, the man said with a growl. Who are you, and why are you doing this to our friend? Naruto asked him. My name's none of your damn business, and the same for why I'm talking to Red over there, he said, while nodding over to Matt's chained-up form. Suddenly, the man felt another presence behind him and a kunai to his neck. When he looked behind him, he saw another Naruto there. See, here's the thing, Daredevil here is our friend and you are obviously not a friend of his, so you have two choices. Talk or I ask again, but not as nicely, the Naruto clone said with a glare. You think I don't know how to handle torture, Blondie? The man asked him. No, but I bet you can't defend from my attacks, the man heard in his head, as Cosmo's eyes glowed. Telepath? The man growled up with narrowed eyes. Yup, so either you tell us or Cosmo here does, Will said while crossing her arms over her chest. You better tell us, or Cosmo here might make you think you're a 5-year-old, Nebula said. Fine, I'm someone that does what you heroes are too weak to do. I cut off the cancer of this city, I'm the surgeon, and you heroes are just a placebo, the man said. So you kill everyone you don't agree with? Naruto asked with a glare. No, he's only killed criminals so far, but he's almost hurt innocents that have gotten in the way, Cosmo said. Let's just knock him out, and send him to Fury. I bet they could pick him up somewhere, Will said with a slight shrug. Nebula nodded her head in agreement, while adding, and I bet that Fury would have a few missions or something that are perfect for this guy. Suddenly, the man dropped something from his jacket, and a bright flash went off. Shit! Naruto yelled, as they were all blinded while holding their hands up to their faces. Soon the flash was gone, and so was the man. He's either very good, or very lucky, Nebula said with a scowl. I'll say, the guy killed my clone, Naruto said, as he got the memories back from his clone. Will had walked over to Matt, and saw that he was a little beat up and still alive, just unconscious. Suddenly, a building across the street exploded. Damn it, Naruto growled, as he saw several bikers on the floor who were dead outside the burning building. Let's get Matt to his apartment, Will said. Naruto nodded in agreement, as they all took off. Hours later, at Matt's apartment, Naruto and the others were inside Matt's apartment, waiting for him to wake up while he rested on his couch. Suddenly, Naruto's phone went off, and when he pulled out his phone, he saw it was Tony. "Hello?" Naruto said, answering his phone. "What the hell happened out there?" Tony yelled out. "Some psycho attacked Daredevil, and blew up some building," Will said, as Naruto put the phone on speaker, so that the others could talk with Tony too. "That building was a biker bar," Tony told them. "Let me guess. All casualties were of gang members?" Nebula asked with a frown. "Yes, now who was this guy?" Tony asked. "We never got a name from him, but he's skilled," Naruto said. "His name is the Punisher," Matt said as he woke up, and carefully sat up on his couch. "He thinks all criminals are rabid dogs, and don't deserve any mercy. He's already killed over 100 criminals, from mob men to gang members," he said with a frown. "Great, this guy has an actual name?" Tony asked with a sigh. "Frank Castle," Cosmo said. "I'm gonna assume from the silence that Cosmo just said something. Remember, people, I can't hear him over the phone," Tony said with a sigh. "He said that his name was Frank Castle." "Tony," Naruto said. "Okay, I've just typed the name in now, and now I'm pulling up his record," Tony told them. "Well, what's this guy's story?" Will asked him. "According to what I've found about our Mr. Frank Castle, his family was killed in an incident involving the mob, but it was never proven," Tony said. "What about any military training?" Naruto asked. "Apparently, Frank was quite the Marine, before something happened on one of his missions that caused him to leave," Tony said to them. "Thanks, Tony," Naruto said before he hung up. "So an ex-Marine with nothing to lose is waging a one-man war against every criminal from New York," Will said with a small frown. "I say let him do what he wants. Nobody cares about the mob anyway," Nebula said. "But if we do, then innocent people might get caught in the crossfire," Matt said. "Then we save them, and not the mob." "I'm not wasting my time saving scum," Nebula said with a scowl. Matt gave a nod, as he found that okay. "Look, let's put a pin in this for now. We wanted your help with something," Matt Naruto said, as he sat down while the girls leaned against the walls. "Lawyer trouble?" "I thought you had Jennifer helping you with all your legal trouble," Matt asked. "No, nothing like that. We've heard about ninjas causing trouble in the area, and we want to take care of it so nobody dies," Naruto said. "The hand," Matt said. "The who now?" Will asked with a raised eyebrow. "Does this involve turtles?" Nebula asked. Will snorted at this. "That was the foot, Nebula, and this isn't a cartoon. I think we need to stop you from watching cartoons if you're going to take some of what you watch too seriously," Will told her. "I was kidding, Will," Nebula said with a smile. "You know how to joke?" Cosmo asked curiously. "Good effort," Naruto said with a smile at Nebula, who gave a smile back. "Anyway, the Hand is a group of ninjas that actually worked with Fisk before he was arrested," Matt said. "What are their motives, and how many people are part of this group?" Naruto asked him. "I have no idea. All I know is that they are ruthless and will do whatever it takes to win," Matt said with a frown, as he leaned forward slightly. "If you had an aura reading, I could track them," Naruto said. "Don't let them know that. If they find out you can do that, they will go after you and your loved ones," Matt said, turning his head to Naruto to give him a hard look. Naruto sighed at this. "I guess the best we can do is trust you to call us if you encounter them," he said, looking at Matt. Matt nodded at this, as he now owed Naruto twice now. "Well, we may as well head home then. Stay out of trouble, Batman," Nebula said, as she turned and headed for the window. This made Will laugh. "Ha! He is like Batman," she said as she laughed with Cosmo following her, and they both followed after Nebula. "Well, if she's gonna compare me to a fictional hero, at least it's a cool one," Matt said, as he laid down with a small smile on his face. "Maybe you can convince Karen to be your Robin," Naruto said as he left, dodging a thrown club from Matt, who was not amused. Naruto and Cosmo went through the window, and saw the girls on the fire escape. "Ready to head back?" he asked them, with the two girls giving a nod before they either flew or leapt off the fire escape. As they flew, Naruto sensed something happening in an alleyway, which caused him to stop flying. Will looked back at him, when she noticed he was no longer with them. "What's the matter, Naruto?" she asked, as she flew back over with Cosmo and Nebula not far behind her. "I sensed something nearby," Naruto said, as he took off to go inspect the alleyway. The girls and Cosmo looked at each other with raised eyebrows, before following him. When Naruto arrived in the alleyway, he saw a woman with long red hair and a black line about halfway going around her hair and a skin-tight yellow outfit, along with a big dog with a strange-looking antenna on its head. "Wow, and I thought Cosmo was unique," Naruto said, as he landed near them, which caused the dog to start growling at him, as it stood protectively in front of the girl. Naruto smiled, and channeled some sage chakra in his body, to hopefully calm the dog down. The dog suddenly perked up. Before walking over to Naruto, he gave Naruto a few sniffs before giving him a lick on his face. Naruto laughed at this, and patted the dog on the head as he looked at the woman. I'm gonna guess you're not from around here, he asked her. The woman looked at Naruto and smiled, as she figured if her protector liked him he must be okay. Would you believe the moon? She asked him, hoping he wouldn't think she was crazy. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. Let's talk, he said, as he led the two to a more safe place. Will, Nebula and Cosmo had watched this from afar and were surprised when they saw the big dog, and where the woman had said they were from. Come on, let's follow them and see what this lady wants with Naruto, Will said as it seemed like too much of a coincidence to her, that this woman had turned up in this alley they were flying past. Naruto's condo. A while later, Naruto had passed the woman a glass of water, and placed a large bowl of water on the floor for her dog. Will and Nebula were sitting on the couch in the living room, while Cosmo laid on the floor. So, what's your name? Naruto asked the woman. After taking a sip of water, she said, my name is Crystal and this is Lockjaw, while gesturing her hand towards the giant dog. Why have you come to Earth, more specifically New York? Will asked her, as she leaned forward and rested her head on her interlocked hands. Crystal sighed. I wanted to see Earth, and hopefully find some allies for my people back home, she told her. Nebula leaned forward a little, as she asked why? Is your home under attack or something? Crystal stood up from the chair, and walked off to look out the window with her arms crossed. It's more like a civil war, she told them. Let me guess. There is someone that wants to rule and his way is through force, Naruto said with a frown. Yes, he wants to force our current leader out, but he is biding his time since our leader's ability is so strong, Crystal said. What about you? What ability do you have? Naruto asked curiously. Crystal turned around, and made water appear over her hand before freezing it, then evaporated it by having flames appear on her hand. 3 elements? That's pretty powerful if you trained hard enough, Will said, with an impressive look. I actually control all the elements, Crystal said with a grin. Great, she is pretty much Nerissa but not a psycho, Will said, as she threw her hands up slightly. Who is this Nerissa? Crystal asked, with a tilt of her head. Nobody you need to worry about. She was some power-hungry hag that killed her best friend to gain more power, Naruto said, with a small glare. I would never do something like that. Friends are more important than power, Crystal said, with Lockjaw barking as though in agreement. So, do all your people have powers on the moon? Nebula asked her. Crystal nodded, saying yes, everyone has different powers and abilities, and no two have the same power or ability. Kind of like mutants here on Earth, Naruto said. Mutants? Crystal asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto, Will and Nebula explained to her what mutants are and that some people fear them, wish to use them as weapons, and that only a few see them as friends, minus those that hate humans. Crystal was surprised that another kind of metahuman existed on Earth. Wow, if our leader knew this, he may be more open to not trusting Earthlings, she said with a frown forming on her face. Suddenly, they heard a crash down in the restaurant below them. Cosmo and Lockjaw started to growl, hearing this. Intruder, Cosmo said. He can talk? Crystal asked, surprised as she thought that Cosmo was a normal dog. Yeah, and he can also do a few other things too, Will said, as they all heard some voices. Let's find her and end this. Once she's dead, the royal family will no longer be a problem, a female voice said. Royal family? Naruto whispered to Crystal. She gave him a sheepish look, as she said, did I not mention that the leader is our king, and that he is my brother-in-law? That's an important piece of information, Crystal, Will said, as she transformed into her guardian form. Okay, here's the plan. Me, Will and Nebula will go take care of this. Cosmo, Lockjaw, if anyone but us comes back, attack them and protect Crystal, Naruto said. Cosmo and Lockjaw nodded at this, as they both stood protectively in front of Crystal. You don't have to do this, I can just flee with Lockjaw, Crystal said. Nonsense, you're our friend, so sit tight, Will said with a smile, as the three of them went through the door that led downstairs to the restaurant. Crystal smiled brightly as she didn't have a lot of friends since everyone back home just treated her as royalty. Downstairs? Are you sure that the princess is here, Locus? A female asked the second female. Yes, Orin, I know that she's here in this building, I just don't know where, as I'd only tracked her to this location, was the reply from the second female Locus, who glared at the first, now known to be named Orin. Well, that's helpful, said a man's voice sarcastically. You know how my ability works, Pulsus. I can only track where she is, Locust said, glaring at the revealed pulses. For all I know, she used that stupid mud of hers to go somewhere else. Well, use your ability again, and see if she's still here or not, Orin demanded her. Locust shot Orin a quick glare, and took a deep breath before she was launched back as though pushed by something and smashed into one of the tables. If you were going to do what I thought you were about to do, I'd much prefer not to have all the glass in my restaurant be broken, Naruto said as he lowered his hand after doing a small almighty push. Will and Nebula stood at the side of him, with them both standing ready. Who are you? Orin demanded from them. Well, that's a stupid question, as we are who we are and we are who we were, and we are who we'll always be, Naruto told her with a smirk as Will and Nebula giggled at Naruto's reply. Free cookie to anyone that knows what TV series I got this from. You dare mock us? Pulsus asked with a glare, as he made electricity appear on his hands. Oh cool, I can do that too, Will told him, as she made a ball of electricity appear in one of her hands. This took the three Inhumans by surprise, with Orin and Locust looking at Pulsus, with Locust saying, I thought that no two Inhumans could have the same power or ability. As she got up off the floor, and walked over to her allies, Orin nodded, as she gave Will a hard glare while thinking, who is this woman? And how does she have the same power as Pulsus? I would watch for you glare at, especially when you invade their home. Legally, I can do whatever I want to subdue you. I could easily kill you, and go eat like nothing happened, Nebula growled out. Ha! I'd like to see you try, as I'm hard to kill, Orin said with a cocky grin. Suddenly, Will appeared behind her in a flash in the middle of a kick, and struck her hard in the head, sending her to the floor in a heap, knocked out. I bet you can't do that, Sparky, Will said, looking at Pulsus with a raised eyebrow. Who else wants to do something stupid and get hurt? Naruto asked with his arms crossed. We are looking for one of our people. She has no place among you down here, Locust said as she tried to reason with them. Yeah, not happening. She told me all about the grab for power your boss is trying to pull, Naruto said with a glare. So you have two options. You leave now or you leave beaten to death. Oh, and chose quickly, Will said. Either way, you're leaving now, Nebula said, as she drew her stun batons in case they tried anything. I will not be disgraced by some trash. Pulsus shouted out, as he made an electric ball appear in his hand. Naruto suddenly slammed a Rasengan into his stomach, sending him through a wall. Nebula then attacked the final one, as she jabbed her with her stun batons, knocking her out from the electric shock. So, what do we do with them now? Will asked, as she changed back to normal. We tie them up and interrogate them, Naruto said. Nebula gave a nod, while saying, and maybe find out how many are against the king. Well, hopefully we can find a way to meet this king, and tell him the situation, Naruto said, as the three of them each picked up the unconscious Inhuman they knocked out. Back upstairs. Why you beat them? Crystal asked, as they came back upstairs. Oh please, I get a better challenge trying to hide chocolate from Nebula, Naruto said with a smile, as Nebula punched him in the shoulder with a light blush, since she was quite partial to chocolate. What's chocolate? Crystal asked curiously. Naruto set down Pulsus on the floor with Will and Nebula doing the same with the other two, and walked over to a cupboard before he opened it, and grabbed a bar of chocolate. He then walked over to Crystal, while opening it, and broke some off before handing it to her. This is chocolate, and it's very delicious, he told her. Before he went over to a drawer, he then opened it, and took out some sealing paper while handing some each to Will and Nebula before taking some for himself. They then walked back to the unconscious Inhumans, and slapped the sealing papers on them. While they did this, Crystal took a bite of chocolate, which caused her eyes widened in surprise, as she smiled and continued to eat it. Suddenly, one of the Inhumans started to wake up, and looked around to see where she was. Our first intruder is awake, Naruto said as he kneeled in front of her. I'm not telling you any, Locust said before Nebula slugged her in the head. You invaded my home, and threatened my friends. You're gonna talk, or I'm gonna send you home in a body bag, Nebula said with a glare. Locust looked at Nebula, as she glared at her and started to panic. She tried to move, but she couldn't. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't even lift a finger. No use trying to move, as we've restricted your movements completely, Naruto told her, gesturing to the sealing paper on her and her allies' bodies. I would talk, before she stops being nice, Will said as she crossed her arms. That's her being nice? Crystal thought, as she nibbled on some chocolate. Now, what are you here to do? Naruto asked. We are here to bring Crystal back, so our leader has a bargaining chip against Black Bolt. Hostage, huh? How many men does your leader have? Naruto asked her. He has close to 100 trained soldiers, Locust said. Pfft, no wonder you need a hostage, Nebula said, clearly not impressed with whoever their leader is. How is your leader planning on taking out Black Bolt? Naruto asked, while giving her a hard look. By threatening to kill Crystal, she's seen as a weakling by our leader. For being peace-loving and being interested in Earth, Locust told them. Why would Earth interest you lot anyway? You live on the moon, Nebula said. A lot of our people hate having to hide, Crystal said with a frown. She then looked out the window, as she added, and our ancestors used to live on Earth generations ago, before they fled to the moon as humans back then feared us. You all stayed under the radar that long? Will asked in surprise. Well, Wakanda did it too, Naruto said with a small shrug, not really surprised. I think a secret society on the moon has them beat, Will said looking at Naruto with a grin. Touché, Naruto said, giving her a grin back. When's your leader gonna start his attack on Black Bolt, and those that still follow him? Nebula asked with a glare. Locust seemed to shrink into herself from the glare. As she replied, the boss said that the attack would happen in a few hours. That's why he wanted Crystal now. Crystal gained a worried look at hearing this. I have to get back home to stop this, she said in a panic. Not alone you're not, Will said. Naruto nodded, saying we're coming with you, as you're gonna need all the help you can get. How do we get there though? Nebula asked. Lockjaw can take us there easily, Crystal said with a smile as she patted said dog on the side. Lockjaw barked at this, ready to help. Good, now let's go crash this party, Will said with a grin. I'm thinking we should call in some help. There are only 6 of us, and we don't know what powers to expect, Naruto said. X-Men? Will asked with a smile. X-Men, Naruto said, nodding in agreement. I'm calling Jennifer and the Fantastic Four too, Nebula said, while getting out her phone. Sure, let's curb stomp these guys, Will said with a grin. Will, you and Crystal go with Lockjaw. Go get Jennifer and the Fantastic Four. I'll go get the X-Men, Naruto said. And us? Cosmos said with a tilt of his head. You and Nebula keep guard of the Stooges here, Will said as her, Crystal and Lockjaw teleported away. Naruto nodded, as he disappeared in a yellow flash. An hour later, Naruto and his team were all assembled on the roof of the Rising Tide, all getting ready to go. Now this is what I call a team, Will said with a big grin, looking at who was assembled. What was the Fantastic Four? She-Hulk, Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Rogue, Nightcrawler, Storm, and a new face was among the X-Men too. Nice to see you're giving being part of a team a chance, Naruto said, to whom he recognized as X-23. Laura, the young woman said, looking at Naruto curiously, which got Logan's attention. Keep it in your pants, bub, or we are gonna talk, Logan said with a light glare at Naruto, who spluttered as the women there laughed, and the guys snorted at his predicament. Aw, you're a protective father, Will said with a smile, finding this to be cute. Damn right I am, and proud of it, Logan said as he crossed his arms. I'm adult, if I want him, I'll take him, Laura growled at Logan, while giving him a fierce glare. Ha! I like her, Jennifer said with a grin at Laura. Can we please focus? Naruto groaned out, with his hand rubbing his forehead. What? I'm not good enough for you? Laura asked, with an edge in her voice. Ha! You're screwed no matter what you say, Kurama said as he laughed hard. Naruto groaned at this, 'cause if he said yes, Logan would want to hurt him, and if he said no, Laura would probably do worse than him. Well? She's expecting an answer, Will said, with an evil grin on her face as she was enjoying seeing Naruto squirm. Quiet you, Naruto said to her with a hard look. He finds her very attractive, Cosmos said to everyone on the roof. Traitor, Naruto grumbled out. Good dog, I owe you a steak, Laura said, as she patted him on his head, as she looked at Naruto like he was her prey. Oh boy, Naruto thought, in both fear and a little excitement. Let's just do this. I'll just castrate Whiskers later, Logan growled, as he gave Naruto a glare. Yes, what's the plan, love? Rogue asked Naruto, while crossing her arms. We get there, take out these rebels and secure this King Black Bolt, Naruto said. Make sure Crystal is with you when you find him, otherwise he might see you as an enemy to his kingdom, Nebula said, as she stood next to the captive Inhumans. Play nice with the king, got it, Johnny said with a thumbs up. How are we getting to the moon? Storm asked. Crystal stepped forward and patted Lockjaw. He can teleport us all there, she said. You're kidding, right? Scott asked with a raised eyebrow, finding it hard to believe. You met Cosmo. Is this really that any more weird? Naruto asked. Scott shrugged his shoulders, as he said, fair point. Crystal looked at Lockjaw. Okay boy, Try to get us into the royal chamber, okay? She said, as she gave him a comforting stroke. There's a big piece of meat, if you get us there, boy Will said with a smile. Lockjaw started panting in excitement, as his tail wagged as he barked, and they all disappeared in a bright flash of light. Royal chamber on the moon. Black Bolt and Medusa were at the throne, watching as the royal chamber doors were forced open and his brother Maximus entered with his men, with some aiming guns at the two of them. Any last words, brother? Maximus asked sarcastically, with a smug grin. A bright flash of light then suddenly appeared, and Naruto and his team appeared in the middle of the room. Knock knock, the thing said, as he slugged one of Maximus' men hard. Room service, the Human Torch said, as he burst into flames and flew up before throwing a fireball at a large group of Maximus' men, which sent them all flying when the fireball hit the ground. All the other heroes then rushed Maximus' men, and fought them either in small groups or by themselves. Laura jumped at a big hulking soldier, and stabbed him in the neck with the blade in her foot, and stabbed another in the face with her claws on her hands. Damn, Logan, you teach her restraint? Will asked, as she zapped a few soldiers with her lightning, along with Storm, who also used some wind to knock them over. Well, these guys are shooting to kill, She-Hulk said, as she dodged a laser blast before she forcibly clapped her hands together, which threw some of the men back from the shockwave. Still not a good look, Miss Logan, Mr. Fantastic said to Laura, as he stretched around some soldiers and squeezed them, until they passed out. Naruto saw Maximus trying to make his way to Black Bolt and Medusa, and he instantly was in front of him blocking his path. Not happening, asshole, Naruto growled out. Out of my way, human, Maximus said in disgust. Sadly, I can't, you see, Crystal asked me and my friends to stop you. Plus I'm not exactly a fan of family trying to kill family either, Naruto said, as he glared at Maximus. My brother is weak, he would rather our people live in darkness, than take back the earth from the people that forced us to leave it, Maximus said, as he glared at his brother over Naruto's shoulder. A real leader protects his people, not seek war, Naruto said with a nod to Black Bolt, as he looked back at him. Black Bolt nodded in understanding at Naruto's words. Enough of this, Maximus yelled, as he pulled a blaster from under his robes, but before he could do anything, he froze in place. I would appreciate you surrendering, so I don't have to tear your mind apart, Jean said, as she floated over. Men, kill them all! Maximus yelled furiously. Too late, bub, all your men are either dead or incapable of helping you, Wolverine said, as Maximus looked and saw that all of his men were defeated. It seems your plan has failed spectacularly, Medusa said, as she approached the frozen Maximus with a slight smirk on her lips. Maximus growled, as he tried to get free, but Black Bolt finally got up and approached with a glare. You would kill your own brother? Maximus asked him. Black Bolt glared, as he opened his mouth, which made Medusa and Crystal flinch. Naruto felt his instincts tell him to flee for a moment. Kid, get down now! Kurama yelled urgently. Everybody, get down! Naruto yelled out to the others, as he dove to the ground. Everyone did as instructed, as Black Bolt yelled and Maximus was sent flying into a wall, which made a splatter of blood and gore. Holy crap! Johnny yelled in shock seeing this. Nightcrawler made a silent prayer for the now dead Maximus. Black Bolt then looked at Naruto, and Will instantly appeared in front of him with a hard look in her eyes. Relax, no harm will come to you or your friends, Medusa said to Will, as Black Bolt nodded in agreement. That's a relief, Naruto said happily. Black Bolt signed something at Naruto, with a small smile. Anyone catch that? The thing asked. He said, You have a good woman since she was quick to defend you, when she thought I was going to attack you, Medusa said with a smile, as she agreed with her husband. Thanks, Black Bolt, right? Naruto asked, as everyone relaxed before they chatted amongst themselves. Black Bolt nodded at Naruto, as he signed at Naruto again. He wishes to know why you are here to defend him, Medusa said. Like I said earlier, Crystal asked me to help and I got some friends of mine together to help. I'm just sorry that you were forced to kill your brother, Naruto said with a frown. Black Bolt signed at Naruto once again, with a hard look on his face. He thanks you for your sympathy, but Maximus chose his fate and knew what breaking our laws meant, Medusa told him. Is Crystal going to be punished for bringing us here? Will asked them, as she crossed her arms. Black Bolt signed, as he shook his head. He says of course not, you are all considered friends of our people for coming to our defense, Medusa told them all with a smile on her face. This caused everyone to cheer, and raise their hands high in the air. So, what happens now then? And what do we do with the 3 on Earth that tried to kill Crystal? Naruto asked them. Black Bolt gained a thoughtful look before he signed his answer. Black Bolt says that those 3 will be brought back here, where they will face justice for their crimes like the rest of Maximus' men, Medusa said with a hard glare. She then gave them a smile. As she added, he also says that if Crystal wishes to visit you, then that is fine, since obviously, you're more than capable of protecting her. That's fine with me, Naruto said with a smile. I bet it is, Johnny said with a smirk. Shut up, Flamehead, Naruto said as he shot Johnny a glare. Let's head home, before Nebula gets worried, Will said. Naruto gave a nod, as he said yeah, and she might take it out on our prisoners. Or worse, your chocolate stash, Will said teasingly. Naruto rolled his eyes, as they all left thanks to Lockjaw. A few days later, Naruto and Cosmo were relaxing at their condo, while Will, Jennifer and Nebula took Crystal shopping at the mall. Naruto and Cosmo were currently playing video games, and were actually enjoying themselves as they were playing Forza Horizon 4. I'm gonna beat ya, Cosmo, Naruto said as he raced past Cosmo. Not if I beat you first, Cosmo replied. Suddenly the door opened, and Will and the others saw Naruto and Cosmo playing. Well, it's not exactly what I expected when you said you were gonna play with Cosmo today, Will said with a smile, as she put her shopping bags down. Hey girls, how did it go shopping with Crystal? Naruto asked with a grin as he paused the game. Jennifer shrugged her shoulders, as she said it went okay. She was always asking questions about everything that we passed, and we sometimes had to stop her from doing something embarrassing. Well, the moon doesn't have what we have, so be patient with her, Naruto said as he gave her a smile. Well, anyway, Whiskers, I took care of that incident with the Italians for you, Jennifer said, as she sat down on a couch with a smile. So, I'm off the hook then? Naruto asked hopefully. Not exactly, Nebula said as she sat down too. Great, how much? Naruto asked with a groan. Relax, I got you community service. And it's something you may like, Jennifer said. I'm listening, Naruto said as he leaned back. You're gonna go to an orphanage and visit the kids there, Jennifer said. Yeah, 'cause apparently me and you are popular with those kids, and they want to see us, Will said with a smile, as she leaned against the doorway. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, saying okay, that sounds cool. I could maybe even give them an autograph and have some pictures taken with them. Don't let his cool attitude fool you, he has a soft spot for kids, Will said with a grin at him. Damn straight I do, you know how I grew up, Naruto said to Will, who frowned at that. What do you mean, Naruto? Crystal asked him with a raised eyebrow, as Nebula looked over as she knew he'd had a rough childhood, but she didn't know how rough. Naruto sighed at this. My parents died the day I was born, and I grew up an orphan. The others frowned at this. So what's the plan? Cosmo asked, as he looked up at them from the floor. We'll call a toy store and rent a truck. This orphanage is about to have a good day, Naruto said with a smile. I'm on it, she said as she headed for the phone. Meanwhile, let's watch some TV, Nebula said, as she turned on the news. They then saw a breaking news story: Nick Fury dead, and Captain America is on the run. They all saw this, and their eyes widened in shock. There's no way Cap killed him, Will said. Naruto gave a nod of agreement, as Steve didn't have it in him to kill the man that helped the world, even if Nick was a prick at times. Yeah, I smell a rat, Jennifer said, as she didn't trust Shield, as they were always bugging her because of her abilities. What should we do? Nebula asked, as even though she'd only met Nick and Cap once or twice, she could tell they were both good men. We go find Cap, and get an explanation. That's what Naruto said, as he stood up. You have him marked, don't you? Will asked with a smile. Technically his shield, Naruto said, as he gave her a smile back. So, who's going with? Nebula asked, as she leaned forward. This requires stealth, so it's me, Will and Nebula, Naruto said. And the rest of us? Cosmo asked curiously. Naruto handed each of them a slip of paper. You're all on standby, in case things get nuts. Hold on to these, and I can summon you guys to my location, he said. They all gave a nod, and took the bits of paper as the girls put them in their pockets, while Cosmo put his through his collar. Okay, let's do this. I have a feeling Steve needs backup, Naruto said as he, Will and Nebula disappeared in a yellow flash. Good luck, fellas, Crystal said softly. With Steve, Natasha and Sam. Steve was trying to get to Natasha, before the Winter Soldier could finish her, when Natasha disappeared in a yellow flash, out of the Winter Soldier's line of sight. Both Steve and the Winter Soldier looked around for her, with Steve knowing Naruto was near and the Winter Soldier doing so in confusion. Up here, Full Metal, Naruto said from a rooftop, holding Natasha in his arms bridal style. My hero, Natasha said with a grin, as she leaned up to give him a slight kiss. Thank me when this is over, Nat, Naruto said. Oh, I'm sure that she already has plans on how to thank you for saving her, Will said cheekily. Flirt later, fight now, Nebula said, as she pointed out some soldiers approaching in a van. Old boy, leftovers, Will said as she took flight, and grabbed Nebula to go take care of them. Naruto saw that Steve was fighting the Winter Soldier, and was actually having trouble. This guy is good, Naruto said. You don't know the half of it, Natasha told him. She quickly told him everything she knew about the guy, and how she met the Winter Soldier a few years ago on one of her assignments, and how he bested her. He beat you? Wow, Naruto said, as he healed Natasha of her wounds with some healing jutsu. Yeah, thanks, Natasha said, as she felt great after he healed her. Now let's go help Steve, she said with a determined look, as she wanted to get some payback on the Winter Soldier. Naruto nodded, as he picked her up again and jumped down to the streets below, where the fight was happening. The Winter Soldier had Steve's shield, and was attacking with it when Naruto appeared in front of him, and slammed a Rasengan into the shield, which actually sent everyone flying as the attack made an explosive shockwave. Note to self, don't do that again, Naruto groaned, as he pulled himself up from the ground. Agreed, Natasha said, as she got up from hitting the side of a car. The Winter Soldier got up, and his mask was destroyed as he stared at them. Bucky? Steve asked in shocked surprise, with his eyes wide open. Who is Bucky? The Winter Soldier asked, before charging at Steve. Suddenly, Will and Nebula appeared in front of him, and blocked his way. Sorry, roads closed, Will said before she blasted him with some lightning, which threw him back a bit. The Winter Soldier struggled as he got up, as Will's lightning actually messed with his mechanical arm as it was glitching about. Suddenly, a group of cars arrived and a bunch more soldiers showed up. Great, as if this party wasn't already crowded, Nebula said sarcastically, as she pulled out her stun batons and put them together before twirling it over her head, then held it in front of her ready to fight. Let's get this party started then, Naruto said as he pulled out a kunai. And me without a proper party outfit on, Natasha quipped as she got into a stance. Suddenly, Naruto caught something on a flashing TV. It was barely visible for a second, but he saw a white flag with the symbol of Konoha on it. What the hell? The only one who knows that symbol, besides me and Will, is that clever bastard, Naruto thought, as he instantly held up his hands in surrender. What the fuck, Naruto? Will yelled, as her and Nebula glared at him while Natasha gave him a quirk eyebrow. Trust me, Will, Naruto said as the soldiers approached the group and cuffed them before putting them in a van. Inside the van, Naruto and the others were all in a van with some soldiers that had helmets on. Hey asshole, I need to go to the bathroom, Will said to a soldier, with a glare towards him. One of the soldiers pulled a gun, but before he could do anything the other soldier attacked him, knocking him out. Thanks for the save? Nebula said, feeling confused as the soldier took their helmet off. Maria, what are you doing here? Natasha asked her. She's here to take us to Fury, Naruto said with a smirk. Hang on, ain't he dead though? Will asked in confusion. Naruto then explained why he surrendered to Hydra. Clever, Will said with a smirk, impressed with Fury for having a way to get a message to Naruto. So Steve, you want to explain what the hell is going on and how the hell you knew the Winter Soldier's name? Naruto asked him. One explanation later, and Naruto and Will had a headache coming on. Oh, that's just great. Hydra has been under your nose the whole time. No wonder the bosses in charge were so scared of my powers, Will said to Maria with a scowl. Their plan is insane, Nebula said with a frown, as just killing everyone who is or could be a threat was practically genocide. Why the hell didn't you call me, or any of the other Avengers? Naruto asked Steve with a frown. I didn't want S.H.I.E.L.D. going after you guys if they caught wind of me asking you for help, Steve told him. Naruto sighed at this. I get that, but still, you can trust me, Steve, he said. Ditto, Starman, Will said, along with Nebula, who nodded in agreement. Steve gave them a nod, as the van stopped. Follow me, Maria said as she led them to an abandoned dam. An hour later, Naruto and his friends finally got all the information they needed from Fury, and made a plan on what they were gonna do. So, not only are we gonna trash their helicarriers, we are gonna tell everyone their secrets. Naruto asked Steve, just to make sure he understood everything. Steve nodded, confirming this was the plan. Well, you will have an easy time getting everything put online. With neither one, I will said with a smile, and Nick and me, Steve and Sam, can take care of the helicarriers, Naruto said, getting nods from Steve and Sam. What about Hydra? It's not like they're just gonna let you all do what you want, Fury asked. That's why we have some friends on standby, Nebula said, with confidence in her voice. And Barnes? Fury asked with his eyebrow raised. I actually have the perfect answer for our brainwashed friend, Naruto said, as he thought of a certain dog friend of his that could be a great help.